Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the European Technology Network. It's my delight to tell you that we've got an amazing lineup today, and the day is Tuesday, 28th of October, 2025. Woo! Joined here by my partner in crime, Luke Knight. Luke, do you maybe want to talk a little bit about the wonderful guest that we have coming on today?
Yes, we've got a stacked lineup again today. So we've got first off on at 11:30. We have Daniel Dippold, he's CEO and co-founder of eWar. Big guy, very interesting to talk to him about kind of what he's seeing, and that'd be a good chat. Then we've got Charles Guillemet, CTO at the Ledger or at Ledger. He's going to come on for I think 12. Then we've got Xavier Collins, CEO and co-founder of Wonder Studios. He has just released a 12 million seed round in Wonder Studios. That'll be really good to talk to him. Ethan Barajas, he's a CEO, and Jamie Palmer, both of them, he's the CTO, co-founders of Icarus Robotics. They're basically putting drones up in space to automate space admin, essentially, for astronauts. Very big. Interesting company.
And what's new in the news?
Hold on. We've got David as well.
Oh,
and sorry, David Phelps at Divine Economy. He's a co-founder of Joke Race. So he's going to come on to close out the show. It's going to be
I was
good.
looking at Joke Race last night, and it looks pretty fascinating.
It's insane. I think they're doing polling markets essentially.
Yeah. He's got some awesome takes on crypto, like crypto longevity in general, which exactly to jump into.
We've actually got a bit of a semi-crypto day. I mean, Ledger, they do kind of crypto security stuff. They have, they literally just launched their new device, which is kind of interesting.
So they were meant to demo that on stream today, but we just got word from their team minutes before we were going live that unfortunately he's going to be on the move. So, and the product is obviously back at HQ, but
no stress. He'll be on the show anyway. So
mobile C-suite, we love that. Never be locked in one place. Big fan.
Exactly.
But what's new in the news? Synthesia has rejected a $3 billion Adobe acquisition alongside Meta. We reached out to the Synthesia team for comments. Right now, they're just trying to focus on internals. So we were very fairly told that they don't want to comment on it.
What's that?
Yep. No problem with that. Selco Labs raises 12 million from the Titan Capital. This is the lab that Brian Johnson used to get 300 million bone marrow derived Selco Labs cells injected into his joints.
Has he tweeted about this?
I think so in the past.
He must have done.
I can't remember though.
Recently on there, because he's a massive advocate. I've seen him talk about the products that he uses kind of 24/7.
I have some.
So obviously he had his Netflix documentary "Don't Die" come out.
Yeah, I was kind of annoyed at that.
Go on. Why?
Not annoyed. Well,
Selco Labs were part of that documentary, and that's what kind of sparked their, it's distribution, right? So
yeah. No, I don't know. Sounds like a bit of a loser, but I sound like a bit of a loser.
Oh,
but
right.
I was I really like Brian. I was following him really early stage, and it's kind of like when you listen to a new song and it's like, oh, this is such a cool song, and then the song goes mainstream, and you're like, oh, that's not as cool.
Yeah, he's not mainstream.
Kind of got that vibe a little bit, but no, it was a really good documentary, and I want to get into that. But just going through the rest of the lineup today in terms of news, like Jack and Jill on an acqui-hire spree. This is a really cool new sort of, we're seeing it with large companies, with enterprises, but Jack and Jill, they've just done their 20 mil seed and they're absolutely gunning for it. I am so bullish on that. I think that's an amazing approach. I love how they're kind of unapologetically just be like, yeah, we want to buy a whole engineering team. And make
I think we'll touch more on this on the M&A deals going on in general European AI, but it's actually wild that they're just using kind of investor money to scoop up a ton of unbelievable teams.
I think it's awesome.
I'm pretty bullish on them. So yeah, and also one of our sponsors, Jack and Jill, don't miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want, search thousands of new jobs every hour to find job opportunities worth seeing.
Wow, look at that ad read in the intro. Huge from you, man. Love that from you. M&A Gold Rush is coming for European AI. Sequoia launched 950 million in new early stage funds. Arson Gang plots to kidnap Revolut CEO. Interesting. AI generates surge in expense fraud. Waymo vandalism. Claude rolls out Claude AI for finance. Before we jump any further, I want to update you guys on the antics of Luke and I over the past few days. Since Thursday, we've had a number.
The ETN London
Fun word.
tour.
London
On
tour.
Monday.
The treasury is looking stacked in terms of our trade deals. We are definitely in profit.
We have
great.
a stacked treasury. Also, we've got some more stuff coming. It's been delivered today, so it'll be on the Thursday show.
Up first, you maybe want to help me flex. You can just do like a little.
Let's do this. Let's go the whole way.
Panthenia t-shirt. So Luke and I met up with Lars. He is the co-founder of Panthenia and also the founder of Google Maps. What an amazing guy he is. Panthenia, for those who don't know, it's a festival, a technology festival in Athens. They had their inaugural event last May. It was a huge success, oversubscribed, amazing speakers from some top companies. And this year they're launching it bigger and better. Again, in May, it will be capacity of 10,000 people. A lot more to come on that in general. Lars will be joining us on the show to talk more. That looks beautiful, just next to Stripe.
And Panthenia
also
in the same room.
The lovely caps that they passed us. If you can get that up there. Did the camera see that? Because, that's quite a nice cap.
It is quite a nice cap.
Let's give it some nicer real estate. Let's put it next to this ETN cap. Beautiful stuff. But yeah, going to be a great event. If for those who are interested, I suggest, typical ICP that would want to go to these types of things, venture teams, startups, seasoned veterans of the space, anyone interested, technology curious individuals like Luke and I. But it's going to be a blast. So look out for that. We'll have Lars on the stream in the future.
Lars is coming on in
a
few.
I think it's next week.
I think it's next week. November 6th. So stay tuned.
Next week.
He's going to be good. Should we go into this?
Well, let's not brush over this bad boy that we've actually had for a while.
We have had this for a while.
So, a public apology to Molly O'Shea of the Sorcery
And
podcast.
a public thank you as well. Molly was kind enough to send in 2 sorcery caps. Well, before we were anyone, Luke. Before we made it out, because Molly had seen our Was it
launch
before
video.
The launch?
It was after the launch video.
It was after the launch video. It was after the launch video, yeah. It was before the launch of the actual show. But,
that looks good. You have a tag on the top, so maybe take the tag off. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
There you go. But no, thank you to Molly O'Shea. She's doing amazing stuff with sorcery. I think she just got a new exclusive as well on the Sequoia 950 million.
She just interviewed Sequoia partner. I can't remember.
Yeah, so she had an exclusive on their announcement for the 950 million seed round. Actually.
Oh, boom.
So, and I think that episode is doing the rounds. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, congrats to Molly on everything she's doing, and we really appreciate the support this side of the pond. It's good that these new media folk stick together. And last but not least, our lovely sort of drinks compadre Mana. These are really high quality.
Are they?
Mana has sent us 2 caps along with these beautiful cans that you see here in front of you. What is Mana? It's good for you iced tea. I'm not sure if that's iced tea that's good for you or good for you iced tea.
Good for you iced tea.
I know we discussed it last episode, but it's been rattling my brain ever since. Brewed from tea leaves, 0 sugar, naturally sweetened. What a drink. As I said last time, it's like a summer's morning
hat on.
We have so many hats. It's like pretty insane.
But enough of the trade deals. Why don't we talk about the M&A gold rush that is coming to European AI? Now, I loved seeing this article in Sifted. This is written by Tom Nugent and Martin Coulter over at Sifted. Opened the article with as global demand for AI talent ratchets up. Tales of deep-pocketed US tech companies paying megabucks for top researchers or scooping up smaller startups altogether have become commonplace. Noticing 2 M dashes in here. Just side note, I'm liking how the M dash is now kind of like an ironic counter signal.
I feel like it's a counter signal to AI, isn't it?
I don't even know what it's saying. But
I'm
it's kind
actively
of like,
not using AI.
Well, no, kind of in a way, but it's like my writing's so good that I'm going to let it speak for itself, and it's not AI because you trust me, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in trend to M dash now, having it, in previous LMs, it always comes up. But anyway, in London, Claude chatbot maker Anthropic aims to entice the best engineers with offers of 340k per year, that's pounds. Elsewhere in Europe, some buzzy AI scale-ups are offering the equivalent of up to 700k. Meanwhile, Workday last month became the last American giant to jump on the acquisition bandwagon, purchasing Sweden's Sana Labs for a cool $1.1 billion. That was nuts when I saw that. The deal recalled recent acquisitions of Cognigy, I'm not sure how you spell and Convergence, my old squad. Promising AI startups headquartered in Berlin and London, respectively, by much larger US companies. Now, reading that one, having like been at Convergence and going through this, it was pretty nuts time. Obviously, we were active for 11 months when Salesforce came in and swooped it up. I was actually going to mute my mic. Cool. When they swooped us up, but it was nuts. It was a wild ride, 11 months, and then acquired by Salesforce. Obviously, that's typically uncommon. But what I realized was it wasn't. There'd been a couple before us as well.
Yeah.
But in this race to AGI, right, you have these larger entities. You've got your Workdays, your Googles, your Microsofts, your whatever. Your
which can just like they can afford to obviously pay large sums for talent, but also for acqui-hires. But it's not like the normal risks of acquiring a business, like integration and kind of the cash flow side of integrating the business as well. How expensive it is. That's not really a thing with those kind of companies because they have so much capital behind them. They can just snap these teams up, and integration isn't necessarily like, that's not a risk like it usually would be, say, if you were doing a PE roll up. Like it's very different.
But it's
different world.
The risk when I speak to people now who are maybe looking to get into the space, it's bad, but I just tell them, like, look, there's never been a better time to join AI company at any stage.
Yeah.
That could have some, obviously this sounds like obvious when you spell it out loud, but it's like, oh yeah, just join a company that a larger hyperscaler / legacy / enterprise company has a vested interest in acquiring. That's obvious, but like it's getting more and more and more common. And I remember, like, in terms of looking at the price tags that some of these companies are going for, it will just keep going up and up and up because I saw a great tweet from someone. I'm not sure if we've mentioned it on stream before, but someone was like, why are these companies paying, like these large companies paying so much money for these smaller startups or scale-ups, whether it's like pre-seed all the way up to B, they're paying like a pretty high like multiple on the valuation. Most of them don't even have any revenue, so then there's no.
Well, they're pre PMF, right? So they're
pre revenues.
No, yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's true. It's like I think it was a stat that said in the Sifted article, it said most of them are looking at kind of like they're like 70% PMF, like towards PMF. And they're kind of snapping them up before or at like 70-ish.
Well, they did.
It's pretty hard.
They don't need PMF or revenue because a lot of them are just buying them for the team, for the talent, right? So it's come in and like some of them will leave, but like that's not really the problem. The argument that I think it was Nikita Beer, head of product at Twitter, made in this reply to this individual who was asking for clarity on like why are we paying so much money for these companies. And his response, I thought, was just it was just perfect. It was one line, but like, and we'll get to that in a sec, but for context within that, like this race to AGI, right? This race to augmented general intelligence, a lot of people believe that once, an entity achieves that it would be so powerful, we can't even like question how powerful it is, to a point where like we would live in a future of abundance and, money wouldn't really be needed in this world where it's like, they think that they are like AI maxis, and like I understand that. They think that on like a large scale, and like Nikita Beer, when he replied to this person, it's like it was just one line, but it was a question. It was, how much money would you pay today for infinite money tomorrow?
Yeah,
and that's like just a brilliant. I think that question phrases it up really beautifully, where it's like, like there isn't a ceiling on how like much these companies will start paying for, whether it's the talent, whether it's the acquiring the company, whether it's like an acquire or some sort of mixed thing, like because the end goal is in theory an infinite amount of it's a world of abundance. Like how do you price that? You can't price that. It's infinite. Like so there is no ceiling that like I think we will see this be more frequent, and we will see the price tags go up even more, and the quality of these companies go down as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, already 2025, I think it was like they've already seen 100 AI native acquisitions, and in 2024 it was like something like 80.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean it's picking up, and obviously like kind of what Jack and Jill are doing, you're going to see more of that. People raising money large amounts of money. I mean, 20 million is not a small seed round, right? And you're going to see larger rounds purely for acquisitions. Do you think? And is that like fueling the like AI bubble? Like,
well, it seems like it's
technically,
kind
because
of
it
in
keeps
trend.
it in circulation, right? So it's like, large tier one firm invests 100 million into an AI startup. Then a larger player then buys that startup. All of that money is then in that circulation, purely in the closed loop of AI, and just kind of like fueling this like bubble.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, that's just like an obvious like.
No, but it's like it's
true,
necessary to outline, right? Like I think that you. I mean, what is it going to do? It's going to bump salaries up. It's going to bump like. Maybe it will have an impact on the quality of operating for certain companies in terms of like they might join a company to get acquired. Like that could be a thing for these larger players. But I do think that Jack and Jill's strategy, I'm a fan of it. I think it's aggressive, and I think you need to be aggressive in this particular space. And I've said it a million times before, but like we were never worried about someone catching up to us. We're worried about someone completely leapfrogging us.
Yeah.
And like at that point, when obviously I'm non-technical, I think it's quite obvious, but like. When I had the luxury of being the stupidest person in the room at Convergence, because everyone was just a genius, everyone was like hardcore ML talent, and when I'm surrounded with these individuals, I'm working with them every day, I start to pick up maybe slightly more than a non-technical individual would in just by proxy of being around them in the environment. And it became quite clear and relevant from my perspective as doing the GTM for those guys, was that like some of the larger model providers, they'll be releasing a model that is slightly outdated, right? So let's say that, let's say they got model 3, right? They would have model 4 basically done, but it's kind of like you're putting model 3 out there to see what your competitor would do. The competitor is going to operate on the basis of beating, like in terms of a benchmark analysis, like model 3, and as soon as they release their model 4, then you're no, here you go guys, here's model 4, like we had this in the back pocket the whole time, gotcha. But then like you don't know if they're doing the same. There's like lovely elements of game theory. Obviously we weren't on a scale where like we actually had to compete in that sense. We were a consumer AI little baby.
But it's not even just like the dev talent. It's like Mistral, they're hiring M&A talent. There was a story, I think it was Poolside raised 500 million Series B last year, also building out an M&A team. Over the summer it hired Philip Drury, former Citigroup banker, bringing nearly 3 decades of experience in advising mergers, right? And so it's not just the dev teams that are like being picked up, it's this M&A talent then fueling what's going on in kind of the dev hiring craze. And so it's like kind of mental that it's kind of what's like Paddy was saying last week, where you've got this kind of like roll-up-y type thing going on, the private equity-ization of everything essentially, where it's like you're rolling all of these AI companies that are being like spun out of the whole AI craze, rolling all of them up into like just larger players, and that's where you see the top 10 of the Fortune 500 owning the vast majority of most of the returns in the S&P 500 and all of that kind of stuff, because all of these larger players have all the capital and therefore all the leverage to be able to buy all of these smaller players. And it's the private equity-ization of AI.
Yeah. They're just. I mean, it's the level of like consolidation that we're seeing. I think it's just like it's easier, it's quicker just to buy them, roll them in. Yeah, you might lose a few.
Also safer as well, especially if, like from my point on the the fact that they have so much money, the risk of having getting burned from cash flow if you're not going to like be able to like integrate the business, right?
Yeah.
That's like just out of the question, right? So it doesn't matter. And so it's like safer for them to snap them up before they become a threat.
Yeah.
And before they take any form of market share that like, might be a threat.
And that's why great segue into Synthesia rejecting Adobe's bid. Like this, when I
wanted
read
to
this,
stay private for longer.
Well, it just gave me this like, it was just nice to read. It was like, look, 3 billion. a lot of cash. And they said no, and I think that's
It's a
just a
lot of
good
cash.
like it's a lot of cash. I think it's just it's a good like I don't know anchor for this sort of optimism that people are feeling in Europe at the moment, where it's like, oh cool, like these guys, they hunkered down, they put their feet in the ground, they said no, that's not. We're going to be bigger than that. That's not.
Yeah.
We're going to do it in Europe.
But
We
also
didn't
think
have to
about it,
just-
like, so they were valued in their Series D at like 2 billion.
Yeah.
That was at
2.1.
like 100 million-ish ARR, I think, or they hit 100 million like sometime this year, like a little bit later. And then they are now reporting potentially, I think the information reported 150 million. And so a 2 billion to 3 billion price tag, is that enough? Like, to be able to acquire, are they looking at $3.5-4 billion dollar valuation to even like look at being bought by like an Adobe, like or Adobe basically like saying like, okay, you're not as valuable, but we still want you, so you are kind of valuable.
I mean, like
did like
$3
Victor,
billion
like
dollars is
it's a lot of money, of
lot of
course,
cash.
but like in this world, like
yeah, true. These numbers now get through. We're desensitized to them,
Yeah,
aren't we? Right? Like, I mean, when
billions.
Maddie from Page was on, I was like, yeah, 30 mil raised so far at seed.
Yeah, chill, like so chill.
For the record, I was not trying to say that was a small round. That was obviously a big round. But no, what's interesting, like,
But like,
when we were-
would they have said yes essentially? Like, would Synthesia have said yes if it was like a $4 billion valuation?
we'd have to ask Stefan and Victor, wouldn't we?
Oh God, it's an interesting world out
You'd
there.
have to ask them. I mean, he seemed awfully chill when we met him for a bloke who probably already had the $3 billion offer in his email. Okay, because that was only like, when was this? October 24th.
A week and a half? No, not even.
And like, a $3 billion offer doesn't just pop up out of thin air, sure.
It was 3 days. It was like 3 days from when we
When
got
we
the
were with
T-shirt to.
So at that moment in time, he had a $3 billion email in his account probably, and he's sitting with us as we pass him cats and asking for a jersey.
And we're excited to get a jersey. This guy's got a $3 billion acquisition, like just in his email
and he was
inbox.
so chill. He was so chill. Wow, that makes it even more gangster, I think. Like, I'll meet up with him.
Yeah,
Which is pretty nuts. But we haven't really talked. Here's a lot more details. Like, look, founded in 2017, the company had raised a 180 million Series D round in January, a 2.1 billion valuation.
okay, yeah.
With Adobe
Nice.
investing in undisclosed amounts months later. Wow. So, okay, no, sorry, they'd already come around. Synthesia reported hitting 100 million in ARR in April, a figure which has since risen above 150 million, the information reported. Interesting. 150 mil ARR, and they're checking out $3 billion offer. I mean, on the multiple, I guess that's
So
pretty good.
would they have do they actually just want to stay private, or would they have actually taken it? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If
I
it was
think,
actually more like, or Adobe just kind of like, they're not actually offering enough.
Well, I guess they're saying, hey, look, this isn't.
If they've
this
just
isn't
like,
good enough.
yeah.
We
If,
think
if,
it's
if they've grown by 50 million ARR in the past since from April to now, like growth wise, that multiple has to be like way larger than 3
they're
billion.
probably licking their lips, aren't they? They're probably thinking, hell no.
Adobe are probably like, let's try this out, see if they're
let's just send a little
just see
little flow.
Like, if they take it, then oh my God, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, they're probably like, I wonder what they're doing right now, and it's just like we're putting the picture up of us with Stefan and Jersey. It's like, okay, it doesn't look like the 3 billion pays them because they're chilling with
they don't
two
really care
children
about
holding up football.
Yeah, they were waiting for a response on email. Turns out we're actually just writing LinkedIn posts about it.
Yeah. They saw our trade deal announcement.
An X post.
Take that, Adobe.
Well, look, it's 1 minute until we have Daniel on. He is the CEO and co-founder of eWar. eWar is a fellowship. They raised 60 million euros, I think, at the beginning of this year. They're putting 50k checks, I believe, into, or maybe a little bit, 500k checks maybe, into different European companies. Very interesting. He's going to talk generally about what's going on in Europe, what's happening with eWar, and a few bits. But just before he comes on, a word from Sequoia: get back control of your finances with Sequoia, your startup's financial home. Sequoia is a business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting. Go to sequoia.co. And I think we have Daniel on the stream. Is Daniel in?
Maybe to join
Daniel,
double links.
can you hear us?
Let me.
Oh.
Can you hear us now, Daniel? I can't hear
Daniel.
you. Can you see if you've joined both links on the G Meet? If you can hear us. Yeah, nice. There should be 2 in the meeting notes. We need to work out a better flow.
Yeah, we need to work out this better
no
flow.
one.
Sorry, guys.
Do it. That's our fault. That's our fault. Sorry, everybody. Just waiting on Daniel coming in while we. Oh, I think.
Can't hear him.
1 second, Daniel.
We can't hear you, Daniel. Let's just figure out our producer's working double time to see if we're back. Daniel, do you wanna exit and then join again and see if it works?
I'm typing in the chat. We're having good fun in the chat, at least. Our poor viewers can't join in.
Ruin me on Riverside. Luke, turn off my speaker. My speaker's off.
We're just chatting with producer.
Boom.
We
have Daniel on ETN, live on ETN. Let's go.
That is huge. That is huge.
Daniel, how's it going?
It's going really well. I'm in a castle right now, so I can't complain.
You're in a that's top ever guest joining from wherever
Location. Yeah, that's pretty good. You're beating us.
Why are you in a castle?
Yeah, so the co-founder of my previous company owns one. So we're literally just all here working from there.
Wow.
Fair play.
Was that like sold the company, bought a castle, or was that like companies doing really well, bought a castle?
Yeah, more the latter. Former president of Xerox. So
wow.
Yeah, doing well.
Okay, well,
hilarious.
that's probably the coolest place anyone's joined the show from.
Yeah. That's awesome.
we
So
go.
the Wi-Fi is pretty good actually from you guys, from your side. It's like
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wi-Fi
so being in a
that's
castle.
really great to hear, because to be very honest, I was quite worried about it. There's also like some of the Wi-Fi then completely failed, so we're now on a 4G network. So I hope this will work, but great to hear it does currently.
Yeah, smooth as day.
Smooth as day.
Absolutely lovely.
Perfect.
Good stuff.
Daniel, apart from being in a castle, what is new with you?
What is new? I mean, I'm currently incredibly excited about eWar, right? Like this is where 99.9% of my time goes after my first company. I mean, very divergent. Now I'm super convergent. All of my headspace is going into eWar. And there are a couple of course, incredible statistics, right? Like after our last grand pitch, people raised an average of like around $4.5 million as the average raise, right? There were, of course, 10 million rounds and whatnot, and they're all going to be announced very soon. I think the one of Epiminds you saw, but there's like 1 million more you'll see during the next couple of days and weeks. And personally, I find this really exciting because we were at like 800K average last year. We went up to 4.5.
Wow.
Whereas like others, we actually see going down. So YC was like over 1 million. They went down to below 1 million. So it's just like really cool to see that despite others struggling, like we're going up. And what I'm mostly excited about is we just announced something called the Operators Day. This is like when you join eWar, you're actually not just raising a 5 million round, you're also hiring your first 10 people through us. People you might, not meet otherwise. 80 million bootstrapped exits and whatnot, but yet looking for founding team and not a co-founder position. So it's also where we can make a massive difference. And I've just launched the MVP. So I don't know if it goes the way we want to, but I really hope it does. And I'm back in builder mode. So those two things are really exciting. I'm of course also happy to pitch eWar if you guys want to have an idea, but now this is what's going on my mind.
Okay, amazing. Let's do the eWar pitch. I mean, we know a lot of people.
The floor is yours. So pitch eWar to the audience on X and
the viewers.
and YouTube.
Yeah, so it's a fellowship for founders. It comes with like $600K, another $500,000 in cloud credits and like OpenAI and whatnot. The most important part is like it's completely flexible and modular, right? So the moment you join the fellowship, you can do whatever you want, when you want, how you do it. So opposed to like other very early stage models that people came up with, ours appeals to, for example, a unicorn founder, right? Like this year we accepted our first unicorn founder who's building his 4th organization with us. And the reason he's doing that is because we have completely modular support. So when you want to raise, you can do it in 6 months, in 12 months, in 18 months. And it's totally up to you. And whether you actually want the storytelling and the pitch deck and everything, like that's totally up to you. You choose like the subcomponents. And then when you want to hire your next 5 to 10 people, you do it whenever. You might do it straight after raising from us. You might do it straight after the grand pitch. It's your timeline whenever you want to do it. If you want to go to San Francisco 2 times a year, we have a San Francisco residency. We bring 100 unicorn founders and fund GPs, which funnily is not possible like in any other in any other city, right? So you can do that, but you don't have to. We believe in people building global companies. So we have a lot of teams operating out of Europe, racing in San Francisco, but then going back and having the whole tech team like in Europe is totally normal these days. And then maybe selling their product to Dubai, right? And Evo is set up in a way that is so flexible that a unicorn founder still really enjoys doing it, even though they know most of the stuff of building a company, yet getting the benefit and accelerates. And secondly, people can build global companies no matter where they are in the world. Of course, we're proud of our European roots. We're very proud that there are now people from Stanford that have all the YC equivalent US offers, and they come to Europe to do this, right? We believe Europe needs something where people from the US say, I want to go to Europe to do this, and not like kind of Europe only, like no one else can do it because we're kind of only the best here. It needs to be competitive globally, right? And that's what we find really cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. We've heard like a few times this narrative of you can build your product / team in Europe at a discount because the salaries aren't as high in the US, but you should be selling that product for a premium in the US, right? So you kind of get best of both worlds. I haven't heard Dubai thrown in the mix before though. That's really interesting. So this is a new, people trying to focus on that. Is that like another place that we should be thinking about selling products in Europe or?
Yeah, like if it depends what you're building, right? But especially when you like build stuff that's also like relevant for like governments and whatnot, like Dubai is just acting super fast. Like one of our fellows building Peak, right? They just struck a deal with like with the government in Dubai and broader Saudi Arabia because they're just acting that fast. Right, they could literally offer it to any government, but they're just the fastest. So if you're doing stuff like this, I think this can be incredibly useful. What we try to do with people is to not playbook things, because every founder journey is non-linear. And even if you're a unicorn founder and you're building your 4th company, it's going to be different to like what you've done before. And it's going to be different to how you've built your company before. So essentially, what we're trying to identify is global opportunity and then just see per person, which also makes us very unique, right? It's only 35 founders a year. And then for those 35 founders, we have like 6 partners, like 40% of the entire company of Evo, all full-time employees, have built a 100 million plus company. 40% of all of our full-time employees, right? So you get tons of support as like one single person. And we can basically look at you and say like, yeah, you should do this in Southeast Asia. And here are the people you should do it with. Or another person say like, you should actually stay in Europe, do everything out of Europe. There's one company like SE3 Labs, like Germany based right now. The guy worked with Elon for 2 years, seeing him every week, like building 3D computer vision. But it makes most sense for this company to just purely out of Germany for now. So it really depends, right? There's no, in our opinion, if you do playbooks, you standardize and you sacrifice. Some people will just not benefit from it, and at Evo we refuse to do that.
Yeah, I think you can see that narrative of like Index are very heavy on it, where Martin Mignot he talks about building global companies like from the offset, and the kind of delta between a founder that is a very successful founder and one who might not be as successful is they look global like from day one, right? And so you're seeing that in basically all of your founders pretty much.
Yeah, I think if you're a great founder, that's what you do. Again, depending on what you build exactly, but for most software companies, that's true. And I believe that wasn't necessarily true 10 years ago. Like there were lots of benefits from starting local. For many things you're doing right now, there aren't anymore. It's a new world, and a clever founder notices this and does it globally.
Yeah, interesting.
Exactly.
There was another thing we want to touch on is Sigma Squared. What can you maybe talk a bit about like towards like the story with Sigma Squared, how it's different from eWar, what is Sigma
Yeah.
squared as well? I'd love to dig into that.
Yeah, it's incredibly different, right? Like Sigma Squared is like non-profit. It's meant to support any young founder to build something extraordinary, right? And to maybe share a personal story, I built my first company with 19, right? And there was just no support. Like there, especially back in the day. Right now it's better, but back in the day there was nothing, right? And if you're born in Silicon Valley and you've just got an ecosystem around you and everything, everyone thinks you're cool because like you're a young founder, that's amazing, but that's typically not how it works. When you're a founder in Moldova, or a founder even in Zurich, right? It's like people are like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why aren't you building like, or why aren't you going into consulting or banking? Why are you building a company? This is stupid, right? You're young, you should gain experience. And there's a bunch of crazy people that still want to do this. And what basically we started out of another community called Icarus, but then we kind of shifted completely to Sigma Squared. But the problem we've always been solving was you need a support system as a founder who starts a company 25 or younger, right? That's also why we have the age gap at Sigma, not at Evo. At Evo, we're basically looking at people's ability to build a unicorn. Like you can do that in your 50s, you can do that in your 20s.
Yeah.
We're going to look a little bit more, deeply into your success, absolute success, you're 50, because then you should have like done cool shit than if you're 20. But it doesn't matter to us. Like both kind of personas can do it. In Sigma, we want to support those people. Don't get the support. If you're 35, you should have that support. You should have built that network. We don't care about this at Sigma. We care about the people that start incredibly early, and that don't have this group of other founders saying them, no, it's not crazy to do this. It's not crazy to reach for the stars. You can do it, and I'm doing it, and we can support each other doing it, right? And we throw a yearly event. We just had the Global Sigma Squared Society Summit last week on Friday and Saturday mainly. It was like an absolute blast. It was like people like from all over the world, from Uganda to, like all sorts of places flying in. And it's, if you see the impact you can make, like you grow up in Uganda and like you might think that's your horizon, and then you suddenly go to the global summit in Valencia and you're meeting people from San Francisco, from Helsinki. Your horizon broadens, right? And the same thing is true for you starting your company out of Germany or out of Southeast Africa. And that's really what we do at Sigma. We unite those incredible people, and probably in 20, 30 years from now, we'll have changed the world. And we're kind of helping them create friendships and find that peer group early on. It's really a community. Sigma is a community, like Evo is a business. Sigma is all about finding those incredible people and helping them build friendships in whatever form, right? And the summit is just one tool we have. And it's, to me, really important for the ecosystem, because if people see I get this support, more and more people are going to start companies. They might not be building unicorns with their first companies. Not everyone needs to build a unicorn, but they're going to start stuff. They're going to get the support. They're going to tell their 3 friends. And it'll just, spiral from there, because pretty much everything I do, I started doing, I'm a theoretical mathematician, right? Like my first 8 years of my career, I've been mostly coding, I would say, or hiring engineers or doing code reviews. I've really switched to building ecosystem, because I believe it's the biggest impact we can make by just empowering more people to change the world. And entrepreneurs, to me, are that class of people that just, to me, right, subjectively, I've of course done my math about it, I believe they're the people who leave the biggest impact on the planet out of like any group of people. And that's what I want to dedicate my life towards, to help those people change the world with what they're doing. So it's like 2 different things trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, I think anyone that starts anything in this kind of realm it's all positive sum, right? I wanted to ask about like content and where you see that kind of fitting into, obviously, like you're meeting some like incredible people, some of the most incredible people in the world, pretty much like every day, right? And the communities you're building are getting exposed to these people too. There must be some, probably like the grade 1 of innovative content that you can then push out. What do you see in terms of that function of like Sigma Squared and EWAR, and how do you marry the two, or are they very separate? And what's your kind of take on building your presence using content?
Yeah. They're actually very separate entities. I think this year we haven't found a single person in Sigma that kind of made it into the EVO fellowship, right? Because
Wow.
EVO is like, it's a 0.1% acceptance rate. Like it's probably going to go down to 0.01% in the next years. Most of the people are much older than 25. So it's rare that but again, it's different purposes, right? It's very different purposes. And of course, when we find young people at EVO, we also nominate them into Sigma. So there's definitely overlap, because I love Sigma, and whenever I meet a young, incredible founder, I push them in. So I would say the overlap is bigger because of this, right? But to answer your question about content, right? Like the funny thing is we've realized that 90% of what it means to build a company is pretty much the same still. And there's like, so of course, all sorts of stuff around building companies and whatnot. But 90% to us hasn't really changed. And it's also incredibly boring and mundane. And it's more a question of discipline, of you to actually just like a year of studying, and you know it, you know what needs to be done. And like then you literally just need to do that. Most people just don't have the discipline to actually do that. However, the other 10%, they're changing faster than ever, all right? And that's where it really differs building a company. We talked about global companies earlier. What's also very different is you now pretty much, when you're global from day one, you're competing with anyone, right? So like the network effects and basically the competitive dynamics in the market, like building a local mode, that's not really as much of a thing anymore. Thirdly, what we've really seen is that Silicon Valley has opened up. They're not just investing purely in San Francisco anymore. They're investing all over the world, mainly because lots of opportunities in Silicon Valley are overpriced. So again, the market has kind of figured it out, right? And the market is like self-solving a kind of global like arbitrage problem. We also see that by now, again, young founders are in an incredible position to change the world. With the inception of the internet, that was true. And if you look at those insanely successful internet founders like Mark Andreessen, Mark Zuckerberg, like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, they were all incredibly young, because it was like a new world suddenly, and the internet carried that world. And even if you were in computer science before, it was something completely different. Like web was just, emerging, and like like when those companies, part of them started, JavaScript didn't exist, right? And so on. So this was like completely different. And suddenly there wasn't a benefit of you having had experience for 10, 15 years, right? And so it was good you were young, because you were thinking about this stuff in a new way. And content was all about what the community produced, and like was the World Wide Web from Tim Berners-Lee like the very best, objectively speaking, solution? I'm not sure, to be honest, but it was the one that found adoption, and by actually being connected to the right social networks, like you had a massive benefit, right? So this was what content was about at this point in time. And now, 10, 20 years later, the coding became a thing, and being like a good coder for like the last 10 years gave you an advantage. So the average age of successful founders increased and increased and increased and increased. And it was much more likely for someone in their 30s who really understands how this works to start a successful company. And now with multi-agentic AI, everything is reset again. No one knows how this works. It's like there's still a massive difference in beliefs that a multi-agentic system is going to lose the truth anyway. Like Anthropic just said they're not really working, right? And others say, oh no, like they are working. We just need to figure out MCP in the right way. And then agents, like what does it mean to be an expert in like agentic AI? Like that means you've been in the scene for like 1 or 2 years maybe. But suddenly, again, it's a massive advantage to be young and to rethink from scratch about how AI first companies are being built. And I'm pretty sure that 90% of like the knowledge work economy is going to get automated during the next 10, 20 years. It's going to be the biggest wave of automation we've ever seen in history of humankind. And it's going to be led by people who are just figuring out how those technologies work, who are not biased by the last 10 years of how coding works and the kind of paradigms of the past, but like rethink this from scratch, because they're in their early 20s and they're doing this. And I personally find this incredibly exciting. It's like an incredibly exciting time. It's like incredibly exciting to watch, right? I've done AI investments in starting 220, not knowing what is going on, and now there's 7 out of the 50 investments I've done are unicorns. Like, who could have believed that? Like, this is just incredible to watch. And it's been luck, right? It's been good timing. But like, these AI companies are changing the world right now in record speed, and I just find it really exciting to be a part of this.
Yeah. I mean, we're close to time, or maybe slightly past, but I think it's interesting, like the timeline horizons you get for like the knowledge worker economy being automated away. I mean, a lot of people we see these articles all the time, and it's always like a cyclical thing whenever there's a new technology, right? Where it's like, oh no, how's this gonna, like, what are the downsides of this? It's a very like natural human response to this. Your timeline though is longer than ones that we've heard, whether it's in the press or whether it's just like word of mouth that I've heard. This like 10 to 20, like a lot of people are saying it's nearer. So I mean, look, we have to have you back on at some point, because there is so much more to discuss. But we're 3 minutes over, which is really unfortunate.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, damn, that was awesome. We have to get you back on when time allows.
Yeah, anytime. Just let me know when. It's always easy to do 20 minutes, right? So like, just
it's
let
quick
me know.
and easy.
And it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you for coming on, Daniel.
Let us know when you're in London. We'll come and give you a hat as well.
Yeah, get some merch. in your
Awesome,
hands.
let's do it.
Cheers,
I'll be in
Daniel.
London back in March, sadly, but I'll let you know.
Okay, we'll hold one for you then. We'll keep it for you.
Awesome,
Cheers, Daniel.
Awesome,
Good stuff.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Good stuff,
Bye-bye.
Daniel. Bye.
So cool, so interesting. It's like,
Dude, I was in a trance. Like, that was mad.
yeah.
He was just like spitting fact after fact after fact.
It was really good, wasn't it? That was really good. Yeah, I think that, like, I don't know, when we look at the timelines from my end anyway, like, it feels that, I don't know, it does feel that we're constantly undershooting. Like, we're always saying it's like, like, here's some article, like how the AI, for example, lawyers are freaking out, no, look, we're gonna get automated away. It's always, especially with the agentic stuff, like, I think it's minimum like a decade away.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because like,
So what do you mean by undershooting? What do you mean?
Undershooting in terms of like where everyone's saying this, in the next like 3 years, like people are already terrified for their jobs. Like people
I see, right? Okay.
There's been reports of people reporting, like, I mean, this might just be a cop out, but anxiety levels spiking at work of fears of getting automated. But to be fair, like even in the pub the other day, like at the weekend, me and a few of my mates were out for one of my other mates' birthday, and we were just chilling in this pub having a few drinks. And a buddy of mine came, and I haven't seen him in a week or two, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on, mate? Like, how are you? How's it been?" Just at the bar catching up. He's like, "Oh yeah, not bad." He's like, "I think AI is about to take my job." And I was like, "Oh right." Like, I won't disclose the company or anything, but like there'd been a previous, previously to that, there had been like a job that had been seen online that is basically like from the company he works at, that was basically like, we need someone to build agents to automate this type of work.
Yeah.
And the type of work that was being described was basically like his job description.
Well, there was a tweet that came out about the JP Morgan, how the building, they've just launched their $6 billion kind of, or opened their $6 billion new building in New York. And, that classic picture of all the Dells and all the droids going in and crunching numbers and doing whatever. And someone retweeted and basically said, what's going on is like all of these analysts are training all the ChatGPT or training all the models to then eventually take their jobs. And I mean, look, it should be interesting, but also Daniel talked about how the market is responding, right? It's like, these things will happen and people will lose jobs and all this kind of stuff, but like people respond. Like the world is an efficient place, and there will always be things for human beings to do. That's just how it works.
There's always like a moment, like a lag effect with the equilibrium shift of the market, right? Like,
exactly. And the market works itself out. So what he was saying about how SF has, it's now opened up to being global.
Mm-hmm.
Investors especially have reacted to that, and it is it's it's kind of a reaction, and therefore like the market is kind of just reacted positively to it, and therefore investing globally, and that's just how how it's working now, and therefore companies are being built here, there, and everywhere. It's not just kind of concentrated on one place. So it's like that will happen in the AI boom as well, right? Like things will shift, people will just the market will just work itself out.
I mean, like, it reminds me of like when Naval spoke to Joe Rogan back in 2017 on his podcast, like, and these things are cyclical, right? When the car comes out, like, horse and carriages previously, yes, like, okay, the obvious thing is like people who make carts probably lose their jobs and stuff. But there's loads of stuff within that where it's like, people used to sweep the streets from the horse like poo that came out. That was another job. Like there are so many sort of jobs that you don't even consider that will fall out of it. Yes, that's sad and that's like a bad thing. But now you've got mechanics, you've got like people who pave roads, you've got people who have to build traffic lights, you have people who build pedestrian crossings. Like there are infinite more jobs that can be created. And who are we to sort of like guess at what? We lose these, so that's like net negative. No, that's not how it works.
No, more jobs will be created off the back of jobs.
I don't like saying that word's word because that's like the common response. Like, oh, it'll always create more jobs, and like you can swat that away if you want.
But I think that's what Daniel said is like so true that the market just will respond.
Correct itself. Wherever there's money to be made, you will find people doing things. Like, exactly. That's just, again, the world's an efficient place, as you said. And like, I think Naval even says on the podcast, he's like, look at you, Joe Rogan. He's like, 5 years ago, if I told you that like your job would be to sit down here in front of this microphone and talk to me online, live stream to X amount of people, like, would you believe me? Or would you think I'm an idiot? And like, he's like, yeah, fair enough. Like, I remember when I was at school, actually, I was probably like 16 years old, just coming out of my secondary school. And we were sat in our hall, and like one of the teachers was up on stage and said, in the next 20 years, like, there's like, I can't remember what the statistic was, but it's something like 60% of the people in the room will be doing jobs that don't exist right now. And like, look what we're doing. Yeah. By the time I was like, what? No way.
No way.
I'm going to be like fireman or something. Like, I didn't be a fireman. I don't know what I wanted to be. But like, it's interesting, right? Like we can't, it's hard to,
it's hard to predict these things. And I think it's just worth, exactly. And it's worth just being like, I mean, obviously there's going to be people that be like, oh my God, my job's going to be gone, blah, 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 blah. But like, the market will correct itself. That is just how it works and how it's always worked. And I think what Daniel said is just like, that's the perfect way to put it.
And nice to be joining from a castle as well.
Nice to be joining from a castle.
Speaking of
exactly. Did he say where he was? Like in the world?
No. Oh, maybe. I didn't hear him. We didn't ask. Probably should have asked.
Probably should have asked.
So rude.
But he's coming to London in March. We'll reserve a cap for him.
Yes, we'll do that.
And we need to get him back on the show because, like, he just said so much gold. Like that
he was spitting fire, wasn't he?
Yeah,
spitting pure fire. Again, speaking of luxury places to work, let me tell you about the flexible office space Fora. It is the office space we all know and love. It's the place you feel like you're working from home, even though you're not working from home. It's Fora flexible office spaces, private offices, whole floors, or dedicated desks. Fora offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes at over 60 locations across London, the UK, and Germany. We love Fora.
Go to Fora. They're pretty good.
Go to Fora.
Next on the show, we have Charles Gilmay. He is the CTO at Ledger. He's going to be talking about the launch of their Nano Gen5. Talk about what's going on. He was going to do a product review, or not review, like a live demo, but unfortunately he's having to travel, which is standard procedure when you're CTO of a very large company. So game's a game, right?
Yeah. He's on the move. We like that. He's mobile. He's hitting. He's increasing as much shareholder value as he possibly can.
Exactly.
By being everywhere and all at once.
We're very happy that you're joining us for 20 minutes. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Talk a bit more about Ledger. I mean, it's a great time. They had a recent announcement, as you say. It's a new product. He's going to be breaking that down, but unfortunately, we don't get to see the little boy. That's there, fine. The little Ledger Nano.
And look, while we're waiting for him, just a quick word on Seapoint. Get back control of your finances with Seapoint, your startup's financial home. Seapoint is a business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting. Go to seapoint.co. They semi-recently just raised their 3.5 million pre-seed round, killing it. They are a very good company. Go and have a look. Okay, cool. Do we have? Is he on the show?
Just checking if
Charles, can you hear us?
in. We're just looking with our producer. We can see you, Charles, but I'm not sure
we
the lovely
cannot hear
people of
you.
ETN can. Just checking. Charles, can you hear us?
Yeah, he can. Okay,
We can
Charles,
hear
we
you.
can't. We can't hear you.
No, I can
you-
hear him.
Oh, you can hear him.
Yeah,
Oh, wait.
I can hear him.
I can hear him now.
Nice. Charles, are you able? Can you join both links on the invite in the description? There should be two. I'm not sure if you already have or not, but I'm just checking if that might be the thing. There should be, yeah, two. Yeah, and Riverside as well.
Just join both
Just
at
hit
the
them
same
both.
time.
And then I think, because that one is for our lovely audience at the European Technology Network, and one is for us as well.
Let
And
them
we
on
are
stream.
live, Charles.
You are live. ETN. Let's go. Very exciting. So good to have you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, I mean,
Thank you for having me.
No, it is our pleasure. We've been really pumped about this. I know that some of the audience have been waiting to hear about the amazing things that Ledger are doing, as well as the recent announcement that you guys made. Perhaps it's best to start with what is Ledger, maybe talk a bit more about you and your role, and then we can go into the product announcement as well.
Yeah, sure. My name is Charles Guillemet. I'm CTO at Ledger. My background is cryptography and security, and I joined Ledger in 2017. Ledger is the global leader when it comes to digital asset security. We are very well known for like our hardware wallet. The most iconic one was the Ledger Nano that was created in 2016, I think. Now we have created like new Ledger wallet. Also, we have a software that comes with Ledger Wallet, with the hardware wallet that is called Ledger Live, and we branded it into Ledger Wallet. And we also have a B2B organization that targets like B2B for managing crypto with security, but also with governance. So this is what Ledger is in a nutshell.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. And we can get into the product specifically, but it feels that like from my, I found out what Ledger was prior from onboarding into the crypto space a few years ago. It seemed to be like it was all the craze to have like a Ledger wallet. It's how you protect your assets. Never hold them in like not a public wallet, but it's a wallet that isn't your wallet was the standard phrase. It was like own your own assets. What are the benefits from having a Ledger compared to hosting all of my digital assets in like a MetaMask or something like that?
Yeah. First of all, I would say that the crypto revolution is specifically interesting because it's permissionless money. Like with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, with all those assets, like they are permissionless, and thanks to two different pillars. The first one is that you have like decentralized consensus, meaning that no one can censor your transaction. Like you have miners or validators that are just verifying that your transactions are legitimate. And that's it. You have no centralized entity, like it's impossible to censor your transaction. And the other pillars that enable this permissionless aspect is self-custody. Self-custody means that you own your crypto and no one can prevent you to own your crypto and to spend it. And this is possible because you own your key. And so because if you have your Bitcoin or your Ethereum on an exchange, you are like exposed to Bitcoin value or Ethereum value, but you don't really own this value. Additionally, when you want to interact with blockchain technology, you will need to have your keys at some point because you will interact with a smart contract, and you need to own your keys. So that's why like self-custody is really important. And you were mentioning MetaMask or Trust Wallet or others. There are also like options to do self-custody, but self-custody comes with like high responsibility, I would say, because whenever you have your keys, you are the only one able to prove that you own your asset, and this is what you do when you are signing a transaction. You are essentially proving that you are the one knowing your keys. If you lose your keys, you lose access to your crypto forever. Like there is no centralized entity. You cannot knock to your banks and ask for your assets. Like they are lost forever. So not losing your keys is important. So that's why it's also important to have a backup. And secondly, if an attacker gets an access to your keys, he will be able to pretend being yourself. He will just sign transaction on your behalf. And from a blockchain standpoint, there is absolutely no difference from me signing my transaction and the attacker signing a transaction. And also, the blockchain is immutable. That means that it's impossible to revert transactions. So when the transaction is pushed on the blockchain, it will be validated or mined if it's in Bitcoin, and that's it. We have absolutely no way to revert this transaction. So this is essentially very important to not losing your keys and to make sure that the attacker cannot access to your keys. And if you are using MetaMask and your keys are inside MetaMask, that means they are essentially on your computer or on your mobile phone. And we all know that there's devices are not designed for security. They are designed to have a nice user experience. They are designed towards performance. They are designed not for security, and essentially it's almost impossible to like secure something like a laptop or a mobile phone. Like a lot of progress have been made, but at the end you have malware on desktop and mobile phones. And that's why it's really important to have your keys like outside your mobile phone and outside of your computer. So that's the very reason why we created this hardware wallet, so that your keys are securely stored inside the hardware wallet. And on top of this, we have added a screen on these devices, so that whenever you sign a transaction, you are also able to understand what kind of transaction you are signing. Because securing the key is really important, but when you sign a transaction, there can be a malware on your computer that would swap your legitimate transaction into a malicious one, and you might think that you were about to send $10 worth of Ethereum to your friend while you are signing away your asset. So essentially, this is really for security. Like MetaMask, Trust Wallet, and all these wallets are very convenient because they don't require anything else. However, if you have a malware on your computer, you will lose your asset. And this is a trend that we are seeing now. This is something we are seeing for years now, and it's happening a lot these days. More and more, like all the malware that you have, because creating malware, exploiting them has become a business for a long time now, and now we are seeing more and more that malware are including like crypto drainer inside. When you are a bad guy and you want to use like malware as a service, because this is how it works, you have by default a module that includes like crypto drainer. So now malware are including a crypto drainer. And if you have your keys on your computer, at some point, this malware will drain your wallet. So this is the very reason why you need the ledger.
That's awesome. Do you think there'll ever be a time when you won't need that third-party device, or do you think that is the kind of only way to? Because you mentioned like the iPhones aren't, or just smartphones in general aren't designed, obviously, for this security. But do you think there'll ever be a time when it could be combined, or do you think it has to just be a complete third-party device that's like not in any way, shape, or form associated with the smartphones or whatever we use in the future?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Today, the technology doesn't exist, meaning that you can do whatever you want. When you build a software running on your mobile phone or on your desktop, there is absolutely no way to make it secure, because you don't have the technology on the device. You can't leverage any hardware-based or anything on at the technology level from your computer or your mobile phone to make this software secure. It's not like a MetaMask or Trust Wallet fault. This is just that there is no way to create a secure software on these devices. However, like in the future, we can expect that the level of security will increase, at least for mobile phone. For desktop, the problem is like there is absolutely no standard. Like every single desktop is very different, so it will take more time to secure this machine. When it comes to mobile phone, as I mentioned, like the mobile phone manufacturer, but also like the operating system, iOS and Android, are requiring like more and more security primitives. As of now, it's not possible to build like a secure wallet on these devices, but maybe in the future it will be possible. And full disclosure, at Ledger we are working on this technology. We have done some R&D. We also filed for different patents. We know how to create like something that looks like a mobile phone, like a SoC-based stuff with a high level of security, like a ledger type of security. So today we don't think this is the right moment to create such a device and so on. But we are preparing for the future, and when the market will be ready, when it will make sense, we will have the technology, and maybe we will build it on our own, or maybe we will partner with another one by licensing the technology. So the technology exists, meaning that we, on paper at least, we have the technology, we have the patents, but for now it doesn't exist on the market.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I mean, I've seen firsthand like how highly the market perceives Ledger and thinks of Ledger. I think it's Zach XBT, I think is his name, the account that basically he tracks like forensics of scams and stuff like this. And it's incredible. Like his tweets, I assume you've probably seen them all. I've seen him publicly endorse Ledger before, and it's very clear that it's not paid because he works in that like crypto forensics sort of area. He finds like the scammers and looks at the trails that they leave from like what wallet did they pass it to and so forth. Why don't we talk about the new product, the new release specifically? Could you maybe tell our audience a little bit more about what this is and what the sort of future looks like for it and how it's gone so far after the announcement?
Yeah, definitely. So the first version of Ledger devices were the Nano S, Nano S Plus, Nano X, and that was like something that looks like a USB key. Recently, we announced Ledger Stacks, which is a device with ink screen that is curved on the side, and that was the first version of the new generation of devices with a larger screen. And it's an ink screen, so that it's technologically possible to drive the screen directly from the secure element, which is the chip that we are using. Also, in terms of lifetime, battery, and so on, it's the right technology. So that was the first iteration of this design. After that, we have created the Ledger Flex, which is essentially based on the same technology platform, and it looks like this. Again, you have an ink screen that you can it's touch screen. So this is the second revision. The first one comes at $399. The second one comes at $249. And the idea of the Nano Gen5, unfortunately, I don't have a device in my office today, but it looks like the Flex. You can have a look on the website. It looks like a Ledger Flex, but the idea was to create the same user experience, the same level of security at a lower price point. And this is really the idea of the Nano Gen5. It can be bought for $179, so it's really less expensive, and it has almost the same set of features that you have on the Flex. Also, we have created the notion of badges. So on the device, you have a small hole, and you can put a badge inside this hole in order to personalize your device. So it also makes your device fun. If you have like several of them, you can distinguish them using these badges. So this is really the idea of this new device. Also, all these new devices comes with Ledger Recovery Key, which is an NFC card that you can use to create a backup of your 24 words. So in order to do that, as soon as you are doing the onboarding of your wallet inside this device, you will tap this recovery key card on the back of the device, and it will create a backup of your 24 words. And you put this card in a secure location. Then you can use your device as any other devices. And if ever you lose your device, or it's reset, or you need to recover access to your wallet, you can use this recovery key card and tap it back on any compatible device, and you're all set. So this is really like the innovation that we have created this year with these new devices and the Ledger recovery key.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
insane. I mean, that's like we get to see at least some of the Ledger products live on screen. That's really cool to see. That we'll have to check out on the website the newer one. There was something else I wanted to mention, but did you?
I just wanted to ask
question?
about, there's so like the co-founder and CEO of Nothing was talking kind of semi recently about the changes in what's going on in AI and creating these kind of physical products in AI, and the phone is obviously the thing that's had its time over the past 20 years or whatever. And now there's like a new shift in potentially glasses and all of this kind of stuff, and basically like the new device that's going to be more integrated into our lives. Is there any kind of consideration in terms of the product and the feel for your customers to have that as well, or is it will it literally just be kind of like handheld device for a while? Kind of what's the like future for Ledger looking like in terms of that?
Yeah, it's a good one. I think like the mission for Ledger was always to create devices with a very high level of security, while always improving the user experience. So at the beginning, like Ledger devices are really were really for geeks, and we worked a lot in order to make them like really more accessible, and everything I just mentioned about the new device, the recovery key, the software that comes with the device are going in that direction. So this is always something that we have in mind, like always improving the user experience while never compromising on security. When it comes to AI, so AI is going to be a big revolution. It's already a big revolution. There was no doubt in that. However, when it comes to having like strong security guarantees while using AI, it might be a little bit counterintuitive. Like there are things that are going in the opposite direction. However, we have like several different ideas when it comes to, for instance, explaining to your wallet what are your intents in a human readable way, and making and make this intent possible, crafting the transaction and putting it on device. So this is the type of idea we are thinking about. Not announcing anything, but this is something we are brainstorming on these days. Also, like this AI revolution will come with plenty of challenges. For instance, we are going to see like more and more bots everywhere, and it's going to be very difficult to distinguish humans from bots, from AI-based agent, let's say. And the answer, and it's going to be annoying. Like as a human, when you are like on Discord or Twitter or whatever, like you want to understand like if you are interacting with a bot or if you are interacting with a friend or human. In all cases, so this is a big challenge that comes, and the good news is that we have like solution for that. We can use blockchain technology, we can use cryptography for that. As soon as I'm signing like my content with my device, for instance, I'm authenticating myself to the one with who I'm interacting. So I think one of the answer of this abundance of bots and data and so on is really cryptography, and using blockchain technology, using like Ledger devices will enable everyone to authenticate themselves, to prove who they are. Also, we can implement like proof of humanity using our devices. So these are things that we are thinking about. There is no doubt that AI will shape the world differently, and it also has an impact on how we are seeing the future for Ledger, and there are a couple of ideas that we have in mind these days.
Cool, awesome stuff. We are unfortunately we're 3 minutes over again. We've run over, but that was fascinating, Charles. We appreciate you taking the time to tell us more about the brilliant work that Ledger's doing in this space. I mean, it's one of our sort of first guests in this area.
Yeah, we need to get some more kind of crypto folk on to talk more, because Europe is like, a hub for crypto, right? And we want to help educate the world about crypto and the space that's going on. So
yeah,
thank you very much.
We appreciate you taking the time, Charles. Thank you.
Yes, it's a new space. It's growing very, very fast, but it comes with plenty of new paradigms. So it's worth taking the time explaining and educating, because it also comes with challenges, and security is one of them. And this is what we are doing at Ledger. So again, thank you for having me.
Good
No,
stuff.
thank you.
Great to
Cheers,
meet you.
Charles.
Cheers.
Ciao. Thank you. Really cool. So nice to get a professional's take on the space. I mean, it's funny because
I
I've
mean,
been
literally
watching.
a leader in crypto security. Pretty mad.
I've been I used to so Zach XBT, I think is the name of the X account. He's blown up now, but and I think he still does this. I haven't checked him out in a while, but
Yeah,
he used to track and map out the forensics of a scam, a crypto scam, whether it was like a pump and dump, whether it was like XYZ has run off with these funds, or it was like a genuine hack where like something had been stolen from like a very sort of experienced individual. He would map out the forensics of like where did the hack occur, like on the chain or whatever, and then
what was their like
wallets.
workflow to get
Essentially,
to the end
like where has the money been sent? Like like hack, get the money, goes into one wallet, and then like dispersed into like 50 other wallets, and
probably
we were
more
chatting
than
to that
that, to be
guy.
honest.
Chatting to that guy at Index at their event, Index Ventures, the guy who, I forget his name now, but he's a really interesting guy who was working at that company that essentially like tracks fraud and anti-money laundering type of technology. And he was saying like it was the stats in terms of like how quickly they can disperse cash, and whether it's like blockchain or he was talking in the real world. It was nuts. So
it's like super quick. And I mean, it's quite funny, like it's like bot versus human to make sure that you can verify humanity. Like it's quite mad that their devices, Ledger devices, are like literally verifying humanity and they're going to have to do it like hundreds of thousands, million times a day. As it all goes on. So no, good to chat to him. I wanted to touch on the Sequoia announcement and a LinkedIn post from Julian Beck. He's a partner at Sequoia. Obviously, they just announced $950 million is like new early stage funds. I think one of them's 200 million, and then a few venture funds are kind of worth like total 750 million. And super interesting that he made a specific thing thing about this, like exploring kind of like physical AI on his LinkedIn post. So he basically said, I started in venture 10 years ago. European founders waited until Series A to go and conquer the US. Today, the best go global from day zero. Then talked about the launch. And then he said, we made this video to share a few themes we're collectively exploring. So go and have a look at Julian Beck's LinkedIn post. But it says, one area I'm particularly excited about is physical AI. The physical world accounts for 80% of global GDP, and the companies that define this new paradigm will become some of the most valuable businesses ever built. We're entering a hardware renaissance, and with talent coming out of TUM, and Oxford, European founders are uniquely positioned to lead it. Super interesting. He's actually going to Slush, and I think we're going to try and get him on the show to talk more about this. But I mean, it was also like kind of pretty similar to, I guess, like what I asked about physical AI and what's going on in the physical AI space, because that's the next thing to be kind of eaten. And so like the CEO of Nothing was obviously talking about, the phone was the first thing over the past 20, 25 years. And what is that next thing? People are obviously saying it's the glasses. Meta are releasing their glasses.
The big argument is going to be like robotics, like figure AI, like Brett Adcock's.
Well, yeah, there's two kind of sides to it, right? It's like consumer, but then also like enterprise, like robotic stuff.
They're deployed in BMW at the moment, I think. But the ultimate plan is, I think they've released videos of like the classic one at the moment is like the robot doing laundry.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, that's obviously. I mean, it's the same thing as like, basic AI progression. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool, but like it sucks, but it's not ready today. But that's where I think Eric Landau, founder of Encore, has like an amazing thesis on. We need to get him on, actually. We had him on the old show. We need to get him back onto here, because his like, again, not technical, like not as well traversed in the AI space as Eric Landau, but he is very capable of breaking down like really complex theories and predictions and like sort of regurgitating them in a way where it's very easy to digest them. He had some great takes on like the future of physical AI and like this sort of this like path cross between like AI and also like robotics coming together.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super interesting, like over the next like 5 years, like 5-10 years, whatever. Where there's going to be some genuine shifts in the way humans use their consumables and how you interact with the world essentially, but then also how robotics is interacting with the world and how that then helps humans. So super interesting. And I mean, Sequoia obviously, gunning for being kind of the frontier of making that change. And always have been. I mean, Sequoia is obviously like, this godly VC firm. So yeah, but it will be interesting. And I mean, he even like talks like rooted in Silicon Valley with boots on the ground in Europe. Like it's obvious, like what Daniel was saying, that things are global. Like there is no closed system anymore. It's a global thing, and anyone can build global companies from anywhere on the world. Because capital has no borders anymore, I guess. And so does distribution and kind of all these things are kind of happening. And then it's just about the hardware side. And that's probably where he's getting at how European founders are uniquely positioned. Our talent is very, very good. And the kind of density of talent is also like, world class, best in the world. I assume. So yeah, super interesting. We're going to try and get Julian Beck on the show during Slush. I think he's doing a talk, so that will be will be good.
Be there. Up next, we have Xavier Collins, co-founder of Wonder Studios. Recently managed to. I love that they're in TechCrunch, which is kind of rare these days for our European friends. Wonder Studios, backed by OpenAI DeepMind execs, raised 12 mil to bring AI content to Hollywood. London-based AI creative studio Wonder Studios has raised 12 million in seed funding to scale production amid a push to bring AI-generated content into the entertainment industry. I love how much cash and talent is flowing into this
creative
space.
economy.
Backed by founders of the stream, Local Globe and Blackbird. The round was led by Atomico, also friends of the stream.
Yeah, I want to get his thoughts on Stephen Bartlett's recent announcement. He recently announced, I don't think it was disclosed, but 8 figures investment, 470 million was the valuation into his new Disney of the creator economy. Basically, he's going to build the Disney of the creator economy. He's bought the domain Steven.com, which actually doesn't work, which is quite funny.
Of course, he's bought the domain Steven.com.
But I want to get his thoughts on that. I don't know how directly. Oh, sorry, $425 million was the valuation, not 75. But I want to get his thoughts, and I don't know if it's competing against anything. I think it's. I don't exactly know. Yeah, I don't exactly know how it's different. I assume they're not creating AI videos with anything, but we'll have to ask Xavier when he's on the show.
I think we have Xavier coming in at the moment, just checking with our production team. We might need Xavier. If you can hear us, Xavier, you might need to join 2 links. There should be 2 on the meeting description notes. It will be a video and a restream. If you can just hit both, and then I think one is for us and one is for the lovely viewers of the European Technology Network who eagerly await to hear from you. I can hear you all good.
Yeah, we're just waiting for our producer to give us the go ahead that you're on the stream.
Thumbs up.
If not, we might have to get you to rejoin, but just give us a sec.
Might need you to.
We're on.
We're on.
There you go. Xavier is live on ETN.
We are live on air.
It's good to see you guys. that was stressful. I think I joined the wrong link first, and then I was like, I could hear you, you could hear me. I was trapped in between 2 internet worlds.
No, it's all good. You are out of purgatory, out of internet purgatory. It's good to have you live on air. I mean, you've got some news, right? I mean, it must be. Thank you for making time for us. First of all, I can't imagine how hectic and busy it's been. I guess let's just start off by hearing, Xavier, who are you? What is Wonder Studios? And what's new in your world?
Awesome, let's go for it. Yeah, I mean, thanks so much for having me. It was last week was a bit chaotic. So I was between LA, San Francisco, and New York all in 1 week, which was crazy, but feeling refreshed now after the weekend. Yeah, I'm Xavier. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Wonder Studios, which is an AI native creative studio. I suppose our big news is that we raised the $12 million seed, which we announced last week, led by Atomico and some awesome investors across media, film, tech, people like Adobe, etc. And then, yeah, in terms of Wonder, really, there's kind of maybe like the analogy I love to use is if you think about the AI gold rush, you've got OpenAI and DeepMind extracting the gold, who are building the underlying models. You've got people like NVIDIA who are selling the picks and shovels, and you've got Wonder that's crafting the jewelry. And so what we mean by that is we're taking the gold of AI, but we're melding it with the silver and platinum of traditional storytelling and filmmaking and advertising, to create ultimately the content that people consume. So whether that's a services business making things like music videos for Lewis Capaldi, or an IP business where we'll partner with kids' books or filmmakers to create and spin up new IP that we can release to the world.
Wow, fascinating.
If you gave me that analogy in a pitch, I would invest.
Oh, I'd be hurling money. I'd be hands in my pockets straight
away. Did you use that in the pitch?
Yeah, surely that was used on the investor calls.
Yeah, of course. I didn't make the investor deck, but most of the analogies were battle hardened in. Because look, I think the thing is with Wonder is it's kind of it's outside the usual mental models and frameworks that VCs have for like when they invest in the company. And so, yeah, I had to, sadly or happily rely on like lots of analogies to help frame exactly where we sit.
No, that's awesome. I mean, we did the same when we were starting out, right? A narrative is a powerful thing. The investors that you lined up, I mean, Atomico, we said earlier, Atomico, friends of the stream, Local Globe, friends of the stream, Adobe Ventures, and I also saw Upside Ventures in there as well. That's a really interesting one. Would love to hear sort of how you managed to connect with them. I know they do a lot of stuff in media, but like, it's really nice to see. I mean, we know Jamie from Upside. It's really nice to see them on the cap table.
Yeah, I mean, so we're huge fans of those guys. Jamie's been awesome to work with. I think we were quite late stage when they come in. They come in a bit earlier, but they took a pretty big bet on us, which we're obviously extremely grateful for. I think there's a ton of different synergies with their team, but obviously something that's like when you think about what AI is going to unlock from a creative standpoint, there's obviously people talk about individual creators or they talk about Hollywood, but one of the fastest growing and like biggest opportunities in media right now is YouTube and individual content creators. And so for people like the Sidemen, there's a real opportunity to leverage some of this technology and creativity to bring like maybe some of the lower production value stuff closer to the middle, or like make it higher production value. And I think, for them, this whole revolution in creativity is a huge opportunity. So, for us, we're super excited to partner with them and find ways to work together and find ways to increase the production value of some of the work that they put out.
Yeah, I think they obviously to kind of get into all the different niches of the creator economy, which is obviously massive. They hold the keys to one's very big side of the creator economy. So congrats to getting them on the stream. On the cap table. I wanted to ask a few questions about how you're kind of marrying the AI content and the AI slop kind of world with kind of hard graft creative people, essentially, who very much value that creative side of creating a video or some form of social content, but then also marrying that with the AI world. How does that kind of form with Wonder Studios?
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. Like I was on a panel the other day, and someone said like, if there's AI stuff, let it be ours. And I don't know, it kind of took me, it took me by surprise. But I think if I had to really double click on like what has been key to our success, Justin, my co-founder, super creative, super talented, and spent the last couple of years like really building a community in this space. And if you look at the types of people he reached out to and connected with and kind of created this community with, a lot of them are from like a traditional film, storytelling, advertising background. I think there's a lot of pride in a lot of the creators we work with around like the craft behind their work. It's why with the anthology series and the films that we released, we focus a lot on the behind the scenes, like how was this actually made, and so when I think AI has been this huge boon for creativity, and you've now got people who are like posting like cats driving through houses, and this incredible. There's a lot of like hilarious content out there. Do not get me wrong, but I think we're way more focused on like how do you make enduring content, and that's AI is just a small component of that. It's just that AI is unlocking the ability to get potentially enduring high quality content to market faster or test different types earlier. And I think like that's probably where we're trying to play. Not get distracted by the fact that there's creators that can have like millions of views for cats driving through houses or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like low hanging fruit, right? Especially with algos on TikTok and basically like short form media, and
for like the slop though.
For slop, yeah, exactly. And that's like low hanging fruit that I think is good to kind of bypass, especially like with what you're trying to build, which is
it's
kudos to that.
That was when we had Victor from Synthesia on, like he said something really similar in terms of like the models are getting better, but we're also seeing like some of it used for cats driving through houses. I think the one video that I'd seen was Stephen Hawking in a UFC brawl, and I think he was winning actually as well, which is crazy. But like
the pics, I've seen them all.
I mean like they're all out there, but it's I'm like, obviously that is not real when I see that, but you can tell like there's been a massive jump in the quality of these things, especially when Sora dropped. I think that was a bit of like a wow moment for a lot of people that were following the space. Like, future predictions? Obviously, you're bullish on it, shown by what you're doing today. Future predictions for like this space. I mean, are we going to see? And maybe this in particular is what you guys will be working on. Is this like full-fledged films? Is this like purely AI films? We're talking 2 hours long AI series, AI sequels. Is this possible? Is this feasible?
I'm sure anything's feasible in time is like the kind of like big takeaway from like being in the space and seeing how quickly it's evolving. But I think a couple of things. One is like I'd not want to be in the underlying model business today. Like obviously I would not start an underlying model business today. There are some incredibly talented, well-resourced, massive companies running at this problem of how do you make these models. And as a result, every couple of weeks, the tools are getting better, which is a tailwind to us, but kind of crazy to see in terms of the speed. It reminds me a lot of like when I was at Deliveroo back in the day, and Uber Eats launched in the UK, and it was like every week there was a fight over a new restaurant, and it was like so competitive. And I have friends obviously in the big AI companies, and when you hear about just how relentlessly competitive it is and the pace of it, that's a challenging space to be in. It's like I feel like the models are becoming more and more commoditized. Now, what does that mean for like feature-length films and creativity? To be honest, like I'm sure the tools will get there. I think people often overlook like actually how hard it is to create really high quality content using AI. There's a lot of challenges around character consistency. There's a lot of it just goes into like quality of the storytelling and the direction. And so I think where we really make our mark, and I think where we've kind of had our success is one, people inevitably hit roadblocks with these tools. And so because we've got quite a like diverse group of artists that we work with and like some of the best in the space, we're able to often like find ways around those roadblocks. And that doesn't necessarily mean like an AI solution. It could be like partnering with a traditional VFX studio or partnering with a traditional animator, you know, making a creative decision from a director in terms of what scenes go in, what don't. So if I had to really think about like what does the next like 2 years look like, I think it's a lot of that. Like how do you optimize against the workarounds you need to build in the space, and critically like how do you work with traditional production, because you know everyone's interested in this. Like how do you make hybrid? How do you use AI in your workflows? Less so how do you make feature length AI films. Some people are doing it. It's not really our focus. We're very interested in like the short form format, particularly as a way of like launching a piece of IP, but with a way of like leveraging that up to go and make a traditional Hollywood film, but like pipe in AI into the workflow of how you do that.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I think I've heard like a lot of people get not worried, but I'm hearing this phrase. I previously wasn't hearing this phrase at all, and now I'm hearing it a lot more. And that is that like around this dead internet theory. What does that look like in the future in terms of like, is there a way in which we exhaust these? And this is mainly for short form stuff again. I know you guys sit in a different space where it's like higher production value, like longer form, like there's craftsmanship and care taken with it. But is there, you know, some people are worried about like AI content in general, in these short form categories, like kind of killing Instagram or X or I don't know, Facebook or like any of these formats of reels where like it would be like the percentages of content that are AI and not AI for the short form stuff will dwarf that. Like, is that people are worried about that? Is that something that we should be worried about, or could that be a good thing? Like,
I think I saw a graph yesterday, maybe, or like over the weekend, that was like AI generated content on the internet has like just overtaken human generated content, something like that. I mean, don't quote me on that, but it was some kind of graph showing the like exponential rise of AI generated content online. Look, I really don't know what to think about that. I mean, I think I probably have the same like guttural human visceral reaction to like, you know, the proliferation of lots and lots of artificially created content probably isn't a good thing. But I don't have anything to really back that up other than just like a sense. I guess my question is what has always endured? And I think what's always endured is like really great storytelling since like the dawn of time. You know, we still I mean, like, you know, different religious texts still like drive so much of culture. We still talk about Homer, you know. So I'm much more interested in like the art of storytelling, the craftsmanship of like how do you make some enduring piece of content that people love and that has an audience and that can like hopefully be temporally relevant for a long time. And that comes down ultimately to like what is a great story and how do you bring it to life. And I think AI is probably one of the most powerful tools for doing that in the hands of the right people that's ever existed. Now, is there going to be an explosion of content? Yes. How do we grapple with that as a society? To be honest, I'm just reacting live to it. I think we're just going to have to get better at like filtering, and it's going to become a lot more important. There's probably a lot of great startups built around like how do you find signal in the noise? How do you identify the content that you're going to like? The storytellers, the filmmakers, etc.
Yeah, I think I think your positioning is like so key for like, almost like reinforcing these creatives that, you know, they're not necessarily going to like lose their jobs or whatever. I think like a lot of creatives are very scared that AI will get so good that it will take their jobs and day rates and all of that kind of stuff will kind of like shoot down because they won't be needed as much, right? What's the kind of main focus to kind of position yourself in that and almost like offer like that hope, I guess, to creatives and making sure that they feel, you know, this is like a good thing, and the fact that Wonder Studios is kind of using AI in a positive way to help their kind of world instead of destroying, you know, their world and their kind of income source.
Yeah, I think. Well, look, I think there's two things. One is like if you're a creative, and I really think this. There has like the cards that like I think for people who have been at the top of the industry for many years, this is very scary because it's like a great reshuffling of the deck, and that like now, someone who's 20 who has talent but has like really learned these new tools is like competition, and so that often happens with like great innovation and changes is that like the next generation coming through. But I'm deadly serious. Like we are actively looking to hire people. We're actively looking to work with top creatives, and we're actively looking to train people on the tools. We I can't go into like too much detail on it yet, but we're working with one of the top film schools in London about like having a course and like having an internship program where like the kids come in to wonder and learn some of the AI tools that combine with their traditional education. Because I think that the people who have both are going to be so well positioned in this next couple of years. And so the people we love to work with are people from like a traditional VFX background or a traditional animation background or designers or DOPs, because they have taste and they have an understanding of like how the traditional workflows actually work, and therefore where AI can supplement it and improve it. So if you're a creative that's learning these tools, I think you're going to like supercharge your value, if I'm honest. That's the first thing. And then that's the critical thing though. It's like, are you leaning in and learning these tools? Just like if a new tool came out, Flame or CGI or whatever it is, like, are you leaning in and learning the tools? And if you are, then like your value in the marketplace of ideas and employees, etc., is going to only go up. The second thing I just say really quick, it's my calendar. If you're a filmmaker, or if you're someone who has access, if you're someone that has great IP, i.e., like a story or a kid's book you've written, or you're actually like an Oscar-winning producer or filmmaker, what we say is like, how can we make filmmakers founders or artists entrepreneurs? And for the first time in history, if you've got a great story that you want to get out there and start to build an audience for, you don't need to like sell all of your rights to Disney or invest millions of dollars up front to create animation. Like you actually have the ability today to kind of spin up that IP. And those are the kind of people that we're looking to work with and partner with.
That's awesome.
That's wicked.
That is super cool.
I'm so bullish on this on Wonder Studio. I think it's like you're at the very, very beginning of something that can like drastically change.
And you got into TechCrunch, which is hard nowadays for like pre-seed founders based in Europe. So that's awesome.
I think it's probably because we got into Wall Street Journal, and I'm sure they probably saw that and then thought, we'll give them.
We need a piece of that.
Yeah, give him a slice. David, thank you so much for joining. We are 2 minutes over, which is this has happened a lot today. Open seat whenever you guys want to come back. It's fascinating to hear what you guys are doing in the space. It's nice to know that you guys are in London. I mean, we should probably get a drink sometime and catch up. But yeah, we appreciate you coming on and wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, Xavier.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. All right, cheers. Bye.
Nice one. Very cool.
Very
keen to see what goes on in the future for the Wonder team. I mean, yeah, they seem cracked. They got some big boys on the table. I didn't know that Upside were on the cap table until earlier when I was checking them out.
Yeah, interesting. And I think it is literally just the making sure that you're working very closely with the people that are already in the industry. And they already know what they don't know, if that makes sense. Like, it isn't just like these new kid on the blocks kind of like coming in and disrupting the whole thing because they don't know where the kind of pain points are in workflows and all this kind of stuff. So I think making sure that you work very closely with the titans of the industry is where I think they'll exceed.
It's good to have Adobe on their team. They're also hiring. Speaking of hiring, Jack and Jill, you don't want to miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want and search thousands of new jobs every hour to find job opportunities worth seeing. I'm just telling you about Jack and Jill. It's the AI recruitment platform.
They're killing it. Next on the show, we have Ethan and Jamie. They're co-founders of Icarus Robotics. They're putting drones up in space to remove the admin for astronauts. Having an astronaut up in space hourly, it's
Pretty expensive.
I guess hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep an astronaut up there for hours and days and weeks or whatever. So making sure that they are just researching and they're pushing things forward instead of just doing all the admin tasks is just an obvious problem to solve, right?
They're also
so Ethan and Jamie are doing it.
They're also stepping correct. Like they are stepping with some fresh fits. The Arc'teryx collab of the merch. It's probably the hottest merch I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. They've got some cool jackets, so that's why we want them on the show, right?
Obviously does rival the Synthesia jersey behind us that we love.
Yeah.
But very cool. I'm just realizing now that we got sidetracked earlier.
Yeah, so we should do this. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, get out.
How did we miss this?
No, it's good. It's now.
How did we miss
got more
this?
people on the stream. It's good to know.
This is I think it's my favorite thing that's been sent in today.
So far.
I can't believe we missed this. So one of the trade deals over at the weekend, we had, how the hell do I open this? We had a lovely lunch with the team over at Dawn Capital.
Visited the beautiful Dawn offices.
Well, let me take it out of this.
It was
bag,
unbelievable.
You even get a lovely little bag.
They gave us lots of different merch.
Just bags and bags and bags.
But the one thing that they gave us, the star of the show, is a Dawn branded chess set.
Dawn Capital chess set.
And a very nice bag, actually.
It says Dawn, which is beautiful.
Nice.
It was funny because when we walked in, I saw the chess set, like someone else, they have like another chess set there that says Dawn on it, and it was just set up. And I'm not sure if I said it out loud or not, but I definitely screamed it in my own head. Yeah. I want that, and I want it in my hands now. I want to run off with it.
They're cool.
But they read my mind, what they always do. Dawn Capital, the mind readers of VC, the best merch in town. This has to get prime real estate, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's
I'm thinking we can't.
Jimmy. Maybe we can do both. Jimmy and Dawn teaming up. Little Dawn and Balderson collab. Yeah, look at that.
That's pretty good.
There we go.
That's great. Let's go.
Look
at that.
Shout
We'll
out to Jack and team Dawn, big friends of the stream. They also gave me this water bottle.
Oh, do we put it on there as well? Let's put it on there. Let's put it on there.
It's a nice shade of red.
I think it's there. That's a nice little spot for it, actually.
Yeah. Make sure we get. Yeah, that's fine. Get
just
the
see Dawn there.
Yeah. No, really cool. Thank you to Dawn. Thank you to Jack. And delicious food as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dawn. We appreciate it. We'll play some chess. We'll get our producer to play some chess.
We will do chess at some point.
Thanks, producer.
Appreciate it. Still getting my ass whooped by some of the fans of the stream. Some of the audience that are playing me on chess.com, because I did a post.
That's pretty rough.
I was playing chess on the living room TV, and everyone saw my gamer tag, my @ or whatever, and adding me now. They're all destroying me as well. It's pretty
really? That's so rough. Just a quick word from Seapoint. Get back control of your finances with Seapoint, your startup's financial home. Seapoint is a business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting. Go to seapoint.co to go and sort out all your finances if you run a startup. Very, very good. Let's jump back in. I think so we've got Ethan and Jamie coming on in literally a few minutes.
I want to tell you about some vandalism that's going down.
Okay, let's jump in.
Double vandalism time. Waymo co-CEO.
Double vandalism.
Waymo's co-CEO on robotaxi vandalism. We're not standing for it. This isn't too new, to be honest. Obviously, it's robotaxi gets vandalized. Is this a problem? CEO of robotaxi firm says yes. Obviously, it's a problem. Vandalism is a crime. You can't just go around vandalizing things. That's not cool. It doesn't matter if it's a Waymo or a building or a bin or whatever. You can't just break things that aren't yours. That's bad. That's a no-no. But particularly, it's more. This isn't just standard vandalism. It's more of a revolt against, physical AI and the world of robotaxis kind of starting to close in on the streets that people walk every day. You know, previous for us, having been in London and in Europe in general, like I've said it on the stream before, like when I went to SF and I was driving around in a Waymo, it was like, oh, this is a crazy land. You know, it's not home, it's new, it's like away from where I live. I'm unaffected, really. It's kind of like a tourist thing. We're now getting, you know, Waymo and Wave are doing amazing work in London. I'm very, very excited for it. I'm very, very bullish on it. I think it should happen. But yeah, the vandalism here is less like, let's just graffiti this wall. It's more like it's been taken in a way where it's like, I am anti this, I'm anti-progression, I'm anti, you know, this step change that we're seeing in technology.
Maybe it's the Uber drivers. They're getting in the Waymos,
I mean,
destroying stuff.
When Uber launched in New York, I think was the first place, I can't remember, but like
taxi drivers,
there were literal videos of them beating up Uber drivers. They were not happy.
So I mean,
not happy, Luke.
The obvious way to combat this is just put cameras in the cars, right?
In the
just roll footage.
Yeah.
And then
I mean,
if you're vandalizing a car, you're obviously going to get like, you know.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, we're seeing with loads of the Teslas, right? Like we're seeing loads of people walk up to Teslas and just vandalize them, unaware of the fact that they have like almost 360. I've seen people, you know, post videos on Twitter of like, this person just vandalized my Tesla. You know, can X do your thing, and then everyone, you know, does their thing, and they find them, and then that person ultimately gets cancelled or something, or like, I don't know, goes to jail. But they get caught. We are not fans of vandalism on the stream. We are anti-vandalism, for the record. There is another bit of vandalism going around at the Berlin VC-funded LAP coffee. This is been a bit of a, again, it's representing something bigger. We can maybe get into this after we talk to the boys over at Icarus Robotics. I'm just checking with our producer to see if we are good to go. I think we can, guys, can you hear us? Okay, great. We can hear you, but our viewers cannot. I think, are you able to, there are 2 links on the meeting notes. Can you hit them both? One is for us. Oh, you've done both
already?
You're on both.
Let's just see if I'm
just triple checking with our producer. There might be a problem on our end.
We've had this with every guest.
Yeah, this has been every guest today. So like, it's definitely.
Don't worry, it's not just you.
It is 100% bad.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so maybe
better.
cancel out of both of them and then join the video link first, and then the river stream.
That could be.
Riverside.
Yeah, should we try that? That could be good.
Is that good?
Yeah,
we've got it. We've got it. We're just putting it on the stream.
It's looking.
It's always a good time.
Yeah, huge nod from the producer. Receiving the nod
to get them on the stream
with big smiles.
And you're live on ETN.
You're live on the European Technology Network, guys.
So welcome.
It is so good to have you. We were just talking about how you guys were stepping correct with your merch, the Arcturix collab. Probably
was that an official collab, or was that like a?
Surely,
it's very much not an official collab.
We got it co-branded and sold it there.
So sick. I mean, that's some of the hardest merch we've seen. I was saying it kind of rivals the Synthesia jersey we have here from Stefan, one of the co-founders. He gave it us the other day, but just awesome stuff. We'd love to. I mean, just what is Icarus Robotics? Tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, we're building the labor force for space, and not many people know this, but you can manufacture a lot of stuff in space. And you know, astronauts cost $130,000 an hour to keep alive. And so, when you're manufacturing the next generation of pharmaceuticals or semiconductors or fiber optics, those costs get passed down to the researchers and the manufacturers, and it makes the business model not actually work. And so, what we're doing is we're using robotics to actually take care of all of those menial tasks. So while astronauts are up on station, they can manufacture the entire time instead of doing cargo bag logistics, cleaning the station, changing filters out, seal inspections. And when they're not on the station, we can do a lot of those very basic, simple, automatable science tasks like lab on a chip, changing out cartridges and things like that. And so we're actually lucky enough to be on contract to go deploy full scale to the ISS Q1 of 2027, working with NASA, working with our friends over at Voyager. And yeah, we're super excited. We've got some awesome test points coming up.
Boom, that is some news.
What an intro. I'm like, yeah, that's one of the dopest.
What was the thing you
experiences
said? You said you had a line right at the beginning. You're building what? You're building something in space, like that was a good line.
The
No,
labor
the
force?
labor force in space that's the line we use.
Yeah, I
That's
love that.
fire. That's so
That
fire.
is fire.
Okay, can we just like work out what both of your, I know, CTO and CEO on the call, what are your backgrounds prior to this? Like, were you working in a relevant field, or did you just see this and think, hey, this is a problem, let's go fix it? Like, what were you doing prior to this?
Jamie's got the more interesting one. I'll let him kick off.
Yeah, so I've been sort of building robots in and around the last sort of 5 years. So I actually started off in Europe. I was building robots across different research labs. Started out with therapeutic robots for children in hospitals, and then went on to do some like SLAM navigation work. And then eventually I was in a European startup basically deploying autonomous UV disinfection robots to hospitals live during the pandemic. So across the UK, Ireland, and across mainland Europe, and some US deployments as well. So I got to see like firsthand what it's like to actually deploy, these autonomous robots to human-centric environments and have them work around sort of the complexities that come with that. So it was really, really exciting, and I really loved it. I took a brief stint then. I was in F1 for a while. So I was living in the UK, basically working for the Mercedes F1 team for just over a year. I got to see like performance at the highest level, some really, really amazing like engineering. I'm a big motorsport fan, so it was a huge dream for me as well. But ultimately, the one thing that I missed was like this opportunity to do something at massive scale, where you're putting something into people's hands, or you're doing some good in the world, and making cars go faster in the track is pretty cool. Not gonna lie, but I figured out that I wanted to come back to robotics, so moved to the US, studied robotics at Columbia. I got to work under some world-class researchers, building robotic hands and doing dexterous manipulation, and then got super obsessed with this idea of general purpose robotics and what does this actually mean, for the future of humanity. Like half of the world's GDP is labor. If you can actually make machines to now go and do this labor, what are the implications of this, and where's the best place to put these first? Around that time, I got picked up by Entrepreneur First, so a startup accelerator. They were doing their first US-based cohorts, and I met Ethan there.
Yeah, and that's where I met Jamie in EF, and I guess my background was more on the space side, right? So my very first internship ever in engineering was growing autonomous plants, or an autonomous plant growth lab for NASA on the ISS. So when I was 17, I got to see what it took to build spaceflight hardware and actually send this to the space station, and kept working on that project to the point where 2 years later we were able to actually license out the tech, and you actually see real impact and real change. And that's what got me into entrepreneurship. And, subsequently led me to go study mechanical engineering at Caltech. Caltech runs NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory out in California in the United States. And they work on some of the most insane missions, from, lunar missions to Martian missions to Europa Clipper. And I think the coolest bit that I got to work on was Cadre. And that is launching to the moon. You get to see what that's like, and work with all these amazing people. But the one thing that was constant throughout that entire time was this labor issue on the International Space Station. You hear about people right next to you working on, the next generation of pharmaceuticals. Well, the best cancer therapeutic we have on Earth, largely benefited from in-space research. We wouldn't have it without it. It makes $25 billion in revenue every single year. It makes 49% of the revenue for Merck, the pharmaceutical company, every single year, and it comes from space. So then you realize, oh my God, like this is massive. It has insane potential upside, but we're NASA and we can't get 5 minutes of an astronaut's time to do some of this stuff. And so what does it look like when that unlocks? And, that's that perfect marriage of thesis where Jamie's idea of the world with, unbounded generalizable robotic labor really plays into effect there. And the labor margins are so large, the cost margins when you go to space, it's truly the one place where it makes sense to deploy first.
That's insane. What are the things you're kind of tackling first up in space then? And do you have like a roadmap for the things you're kind of looking to solve? Are you going like easiest problem first and kind of whittling down, or are you kind of trying to tackle the hardest thing so then you can kind of get to the easiest problem last? Like what's the plan?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that we see commercially is every 60 days, 3.5 tons of cargo gets sent to the space station. and they all get sent up in basically white duffel bags, white gym bags. And it takes a crew of 4 astronauts 7 days to unpack this, and then 7 days to repack it on the way down. So out of your 60 days, you're burning 2 weeks just there moving bags around.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, unpacking the bags, doing the experiments, all that stuff takes even more time. But the biggest time sink is that one task. And that's also one of the hardest problems. And I'll let Jamie talk a little bit about the dynamics that go into it and what this is like with a free-flying architecture, because it's very different than any other architecture.
Yeah, so as much as we would have liked to sort of bite off a sort of easier problem, we kind of worked a lot with the commercial partners. So like the people that we're working with to put robots onto their stations, but also even like these people like the NASA ops planners who are basically putting down these astronaut like time schedules down to 5-minute intervals. So everything is really regimented. So you can really get people to stack rank and sort of figure out, what are the most important things? Where are you sinking the most time in terms of your human ops in human spaceflight? And it became very clear that cargo resupply was one of the biggest. The only thing about cargo resupply is that now you have to basically, a vehicle comes up, docks to the station. You have to go and enter that vehicle, grab the items out of it, and essentially go and stow them elsewhere. And this is particularly hard for a couple of reasons. A, you have to move in microgravity. So this is actually pretty hard from a dynamics point of view, from a controls point of view. It's like, how do you actually stabilize something that's mobile in microgravity? And then second of all, you're picking up these bags that Ethan talked about earlier, these CTBs, these standard size NASA cargo bags. You don't know what's in them. You don't know how heavy it is. You don't know where the mass is, and you still have to control that mobile robot. So basically, we have this really tricky problem of we have to be able to have this robot go in, collect these items, go stow them elsewhere in the station. And that's why we're using like human teleoperation at the start, because this is actually a really hard problem. And if we can get the human brain behind the robot as a pilot, rather than immediately trying to rely on some sort of far field autonomy, we can make a much more robust robot. We can make basically do a lot more like generalizable tasks, because there's other tasks as well that we also have that we're going to capture outside of cargo resupply. And then the real sort of nice thing about this is if you have a human behind the wheel doing this like dexterous manipulation, you can collect what we call expert examples, and we can go and use that to train future autonomy for the future of fully autonomous space robots, which is, I think, for us, one of the most exciting parts.
Yeah, I assume once you like solved one problem, especially like, dealing with like what you were saying in terms of like the mass and all of that kind of stuff, and actually controlling the robot itself, like once you've figured that out, you can then apply that to so many different other use cases, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Seriously, like Mental, this is one of the craziest companies I think we've had on the stream.
Thank you.
Love to ask, I think, yeah, honestly, guys, like seriously insane.
You've blown Ronan's mind.
Yeah, my mind's just blown over here. I saw in the TechCrunch article that was covered on your seed round, like 6.1 million. The opening line for that was like the Icarus robotics co-founders spent hours interviewing astronauts. Like, how do you go about interviewing an astronaut before you've got the clout of like the money, maybe, or like, I'm not sure what came first, but like obviously the clout would help you get in touch with, I assume, like Voyager, and I'm not sure how other like SpaceX or any of the other industry players have received you, but like just initially, how are you like emailing these guys? Like, how do you get? I assume they're not on X, so you're not DMing them, but like, how do you get in touch with astronauts?
There's a lot that goes into it, and I don't think there's been any one sort of like recipe that exactly works on how to get a hold of an astronaut. But what I will say about the space industry, and I think I have a nice perspective on this because I wasn't actually working in the space industry before. The one thing about it is everyone is actually happy to help each other, because the thing about working in space is that everyone else has some form of engineering background, and they're in space because of the love of it and because of that wonder that's behind it. So I think more than any other industry, people are happy to like pass the torch down. They're happy to like give help to younger folks that are working on ambitious ideas. And then in the space industry, you do have this like really unbounded ambition where, people are willing to take huge swings. And these things are kind of like normal in a way that they wouldn't be in maybe perhaps some other industries. So I think that's the best thing about the space industry is like everyone you talk to is an exciting person to talk to, and they have really cool stories, and they've come from somewhere really, really cool, and they work on really cool things. And then second of all, they're similarly excited about what you're working on, so they're always happy to help. So I think, we've gotten a lot of help along the way, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, I think
Seriously.
there's a few funny stories for us as well. Like very early days, you want to talk to everybody that you get your hands on. And obviously, when you're talking about what astronauts do, there's no one better than talking to an astronaut. And I think even at one point, Jamie actually hit the contact me box of one of their like personal family sites. I actually forget what the contact me box was on, and they went ahead and responded. And we had a conversation with a very famous astronaut that's Tim Copra, and he was leading the charge on Starlab, one of the commercial stations that's launching in the next few years here. And he sat down and had a great conversation with us. And he said, hey guys, I'd love for you to talk to the rest of the C-suite of Starlab. And then the next meeting, we're talking to 3 people in the C-suite that are leading this new commercial space station development. And it's the same thing across the board. Like Jamie said, everyone's just super helpful, and they say, hey, you should go talk to so-and-so. You should talk to so-and-so. This is awesome.
Wow,
that's insane. I love how it's still very scrappy in terms of like trying to find people, regardless of like what industry you're in. Like, this media industry is, in terms of like barrier to entry, right, is 10 times, 100 times, million times lower than going to work in space and creating robots, right? But it's still as scrappy, which I love. I think
that's really cool. I had another question just around like how you've been received from like a government standpoint. Like I know that we have like excellent private companies in like the sort of space industry, as well as some amazing stuff that the government's doing. You mentioned that you're working with Voyager. Like, could you maybe walk us through how that developed, or how that plans to develop, or how that got initiated, and what the response has been like from both, I guess, existing private companies and also like the government side of things as well?
Yeah, I think there's a few actually interesting nuggets here. One of the biggest ones is right now, when you look at the space industry and you look at low Earth orbit, human space flight, it's all government based. ISS is run by NASA and the partner organizations and nations. And if you want to do science, you go through ISS National Lab, and you have government backed facilities. And a lot of the research is subsidized by government grants. And in the space industry in general, in one way or another, the US government or some other nation's government ends up being the end customer. And that money might trickle through a couple commercial hands before it gets to the final person. But it's largely government based. But right now, we're at this really weird inflection point, this amazing inflection point where you've had SpaceX privatize launch. Now there's a company that's making it so easy for everybody to launch whatever they want. You don't have to go through the US government anymore. You can go through SpaceX. And there's a bunch of other launch providers coming online. And now we're seeing the ISS actually deorbit. And as the ISS deorbits, we're seeing the rise of a bunch of commercial space stations. These are private space stations like VAST, like Starlab, which is run by Voyager, and a bunch of other folks, Mitsubishi, MDA, Palantir. It's a big multi-corporation conglomerate. And you have companies like Axiom launching their stations, and Sierra Space and Blue Origin launching Orbital Reef. And what this does is it actually, for the first time ever, moves that entire model of operating through the government to commercial, private. And we've been lucky enough to work with all of these people in the private sector, whether that be the Starlab team at Voyager, whether that be the VAST team, the Axiom team, Sierra Space, and Blue Origin. And we've had a lot of traction on the commercial side. And so it's actually inverse than a lot of aerospace companies and space companies would start, where typically you go after a few government grants, you prove out the technology, you have your government as your first customers, and then maybe one day it goes commercial. We actually have the opposite. And so very recently, we've spun up the federal side of our house and are now working with, or looking to work with, some folks at the US government, whether that be Space Force or Air Force. And the reception's been largely positive. And I think when you have an end user and a stakeholder already in your company, especially on the commercial side, it makes it that much easier for the government to justify working with you in a dual use manner and saying, hey, how could I use this capability for X problem or Y problem that I had? And it just makes it that much easier for them and low friction for them to actually start working with us. So that's been very interesting for us to learn firsthand, because it's not what we would have expected.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's almost like the reverse of the model that one would assume. It's like bid for grant, get grant, work with gov, get private contracts maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to ask a question on the, I guess, like go-to-market type function. Obviously, like you guys are super early and kind of building the plane as it flies, or the rocket, I guess. But what's the pitch into kind of these launch providers? I assume they're kind of doing a ton of tests when they're up there, and you're obviously providing like an extra element of, I guess, risk to these guys. I don't know, what's the kind of pitch to them to kind of get them to like on board in terms of like doing this research, because it's not just, oh, okay, we've solved the problem now, like let's stop iterating and that's it. There's going to be hurdles on the way and all that kind of stuff. So how do you get them on board essentially? Is it largely quite easy or not?
Well, as far as like launch providers and actually getting to these stations, like this is where our partnerships with people like really come into play. And you have folks over at the Voyager team that have worked with people at SpaceX and NASA for a very long time saying, hey, we really want this capability for something like Starlab. We think it could be really interesting. Let's help these guys get there. And so actually they've helped us massively with all of the integration, the safety side of things, actually working with the ops planners. That's all abstracted away for us as much as possible by our partners at Voyager, so we can launch and test as much as possible. And that's even on the safety side as well. And I think the big thing for people like Voyager or VAST is that the upside of actually having a robot that can carry out these sort of logistics tasks or even science tasks opens up new operational modalities for these space stations. And that's super, super key, especially as how dynamic this, like right now there's a $2 billion contract out for commercial space stations between NASA and like the public, like you would have a normal contract. And that $2 billion contract actually changed this August. We went from fully crewed stations, 7 astronauts continuously the same way that we've had on the ISS, to NASA rolling that back and saying, hey, we actually only want 4 astronauts for 1 month at a time. And then we can do 1 month deployments, maybe 4 times out of the year. And when you're a commercial space station, you actually make money one of 2 ways. You sell commercial astronaut seats. So for example, Axiom sold a commercial astronaut seat to the first Indian astronaut recently. That's a great example. And the other way is you do research and manufacturing. And so for now, 8 months out of the year, you have no astronauts on board. So you can't sell a commercial astronaut seat. And you actually can't do any science or manufacturing unless it's robotically enabled and autonomous. And so there's actually a really unique value prop where our robots actually do 2 things. Number one, they're cost savings. You need less crew to do the same amount of maintenance and logistics. But then they're also revenue generating by allowing crew to do more experiments, but then also allowing us to do experiments during those uncrewed periods. And, that benefit has been really helpful for us to have these guys take bets on us, especially as a very early stage company, and push forward the technology as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean,
pretty mad.
It's so crazy. It's like this is insane. I think it's absolutely awesome. We have to get you guys back on. I'd love to keep up to date with how you go through this first 6.1, and then what does the next round look like if you guys need it. We'd love to stay on top of the news with you guys.
Well, just quickly before we let you go, I know we've just run over, but I want to know what is the plan for 2026? Like, have you got things mapped out?
Yeah, there's some pretty exciting stuff, especially on the tech side, because this is going to be our big push towards handing over that one robot to the ISS, right? So we're basically like narrowly focused on producing this one space-ready robot, and then we have to basically hand that over by the end of next year, just before that, couple of months before it actually goes up on a rocket to the ISS. So we're going to be narrowly focused on that. There's a few really exciting tests that come with that. So there's like neutral buoyancy testing where we go and we sink this robot underwater, and then we actually do some testing there. But I think the most exciting one is parabolic test flights. So basically, we're going to get up into a plane that is essentially gutted. We'll have a bunch of our robots and a bunch of our tech ready to run experiments. And then if you guys are familiar, there's essentially this plane falls out of the sky. Called the Vomit Comet. It should be pretty fun. It's not the easiest place to run an experiment, right? But it's going to be pretty cool, because what this will give us is it'll give us like a bunch of these parabolas where we'll actually get to essentially put the robots under microgravity conditions. So that's like one of the most exciting things for us, as well as suiting up, getting into this plane, putting some robots up there, falling out of the sky a few times, and but more importantly, collecting some really, really good data.
That's quite
getting
fun.
into the-
So you're
into the
collecting
vomit
data and
comic.
you're doing experiments, but you're also having a very good time.
Having a blast.
I would love to do that. That'd be
in the
jokes.
vomit
Yeah,
comic.
yeah.
I love that.
Good stuff. Well, yeah, look, keep us updated with all the experiments, and we'll have to get an update at some point in 26. And yeah, we'll go from there. But look, thank you very much for spending the time with us, and good luck with it all.
Yeah, good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Take care, guys.
Good stuff.
Anytime. All the
Bye-bye.
best. Cheers. So sick. Well, really cool. Just like you see how young they are as well.
Yeah.
Like just absolutely mind-boggling stuff from these guys.
Well, it's just incredible because it means that like the opportunity for very smart people to go and like build the frontier of stuff is
like they are correctly placed. You know what I mean? Like in terms of where has the world taken them, they are doing what they should be doing. I think that's a good thing. I would have liked to get their take, and Entrepreneur First has helped them get there, and the rest of the investors that came into the round. I would have liked to actually touch on like what does EF in the US look like, and see if there are any differences in terms of vibes or like functionality compared to here in London, because we've spoken to a few people that have been through, but never.
Yeah, a ton of people that have been through EF. To be fair, and obviously they're a huge advocate. Well, we're a huge advocate for them. I think just doing some unbelievable stuff and allowing companies like Icarus Robotics to thrive and grow. So yeah,
really cool.
Very fun.
Let me just tell you a little something about ACI.dev. It is the open source middleware to control, govern, and observe AI access to your tools and your data. That's ACI.dev. Something I wanted to just touch on Neuralink. They posted a tweet yesterday. We're excited to announce our first participant in the UK. Paul, who is paralysed due to motor neuron disease, received his Neuralink implant earlier this month and was able to control a computer with his thoughts just hours after surgery. That's awesome, obviously, and the fact that it's in the UK is even better. So you kind of forget that that's a thing. Like Neuralink, I only seem to remember it when I see a post like, just had our first
Neuralink's still
this country.
The work behind the scenes is obviously incredible, right?
Yeah, you forget that Musk has set that up as well, which is kind of nuts in terms of the amount of stuff he's got.
It is kind of nuts,
going on. But
we'll have to see over the next few months Neuralink doing more stuff in the UK. That'd be great.
Yeah, you'd love to see it. You'd love to see it. What we kind of got cut off earlier when I know we were like maybe spent too long on vandalism and basically saying do not vandalize, but this is actually really interesting. The VC, like Berlin-based VC-funded LAP Coffee.
Yeah.
It's representing a bigger thing, and like Paula Waymer from General Catalyst, like previous partner there, actually did a really cool post about breaking it down in terms of like her thoughts. And for those who don't know, like this is a coffee store that it's VC funded, and they're essentially selling coffee at I think it's like €2.50, which is far lower than competitors in the area that may be like family run or maybe like an independent store. It's like obviously they don't have the benefits of economies of scale or VC funding, therefore their price per product is higher. They have to make up for the margins. And everyone's just like graffitiing all over the LAP coffee stores. Basically, it's like people are of the belief that they're kind of like killing the local coffee chain sort of vibe. It's where people go to hang out. It's where people go to meet people. And yeah, people aren't happy. People aren't happy with them doing what they're doing. But Paula put up a post on LinkedIn that has some really good points. Essentially starting off with like consumers vote with their feet. Many consumers care about price in this economy, but like ultimately like they are voting with like where they're going to go, right? If people aren't going to the store, then that's just the way it goes. It's not like a zero-sum mentality for that market as well. It's like coffee market. Like I think it's, we had this with Blank Street when they came to London. I think a lot of people were like, these guys suck because they've like, they've taken VC money and they're trying to optimize the function of like getting the coffee. Essentially, like their USP was that they could you get it really quick. Like it was made very quick because they had this like incredibly expensive machine that they built the technology for it.
Yeah.
So kind of some crazy thing. But they did VC funding as well. And it's funny to see like I don't think like if someone popped up a nicely designed, pretty beautiful, good tasting €2.50 coffee shop near my local work, I'd be like, huge, like cheaper coffee, and it tastes pretty good as well. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
you'd be buzzing.
Yeah.
It's weird that there's part of me that might understand, like, yes, I'll pay the premium of an extra $2.50 for like, it's my local kind of, I guess. But like, to be honest, I'm just.
I mean, look, it depends. It depends why
If it's a good base,
you're
maybe?
drinking the coffee, right? Like, are you drinking it because you want to have a social time in the coffee shop and you appreciate the craftsmanship or whatever, or are you literally drinking it for the case of getting caffeinated, getting on your way, getting to work, getting to the office?
Well, I'm more of a
do?
walking around kind of guy. You know,
Go and walk around, but I feel like, is it that deep? Probably not. I guess, like, these family-run coffee shops, might be. I assume none of them have like gone out of business or anything, but it's kind of just like, like consumers choose with their feet. Like, go where you want to go. Like, if you believe in these family-run coffee shops, go to a family-run coffee shop.
It's like,
go to that.
If it's cheaper, they're gonna go there. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, and it's on you to compete. It's not like, let's beat up the place that's doing, that's more competitive than us.
Yeah,
that's unfair. It's a free market. So yeah, again,
no, it's an interesting one, and we'll see if LAP Coffee has any more kind of news come out of it. But yeah, I mean, it's just like anti-corporate sentiment.
I think there's an underlying tone there of like capitalism, I think.
A little bit, yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, it's a VC backed.
The way it's reported in local, like, in write-ups as well, is very like VC funded.
Like us
evil
versus them.
Yeah. It's like the evil VC money.
Yeah.
Like, well, is it like? It's just cheap coffee, man. Like, I don't know, it's €2.50. By the way, great price for €2.50 for
€2.50. What's that? £2?
For a local, delightful. I was going to say latte, but like more and more recently edging into that flat white territory.
Flat white territory is where you play. It's a good play. It's a good place.
Speaking of flat whites, where do I get my flat whites? Sometimes it's when I'm working for as flexible office spaces, private offices, whole floors, or dedicated desk. It's the place you work when you want to work from home, but you have to go into the office because it feels like you're working from home. It's Fora, the flexible office space that we all know and love. Go to Fora.com. If you're a startup, it's great. We had our startup there and it was awesome. They have lovely food, lovely snacks, and they do great flat whites as well. We didn't cover a lot of violence today. The arson gang plotting to kidnap the Revolut CEO. I don't know what went down with that, but essentially it was, and funny we got Ledger on actually. I saw this last night and it probably would have been a weird thing to bring up, but
yeah,
like on this topic of potential kidnapping of the Revolut CEO, the Ledger CEO was kidnapped back in, I remember seeing a video of this. He was like thrown into a van.
The Ledger of Charles is
the co-founder,
the CEO of Ledger.
Yeah, the co-founder of Ledger,
right,
was kidnapped. Ledger, David Belland, and his partner was kidnapped and held to ransom in central France. This was a huge story at the time. It was everywhere on X. It was, it wasn't good. But yeah, I mean, like, it's weird that this stuff is happening. Like, I understand that obviously let's target, very rich people. I think it was in the paper the other day about Revolut CEO's absolute fortune he was sitting on, like Nick Stronsky, and whether he was going to move to Dubai or not, whether he's going to stay in the UK. Like, should he have to move to Dubai? Like, should he have to stay in the UK, and pay obscene taxes on his money? Yeah, there was like a whole debate about that, but like it's crazy that like these people getting targeted. That this was a targeted attack. It wasn't successful. Nick managed to evade the
which
gang.
Is good.
Yeah, and it was known by the leader of said gang. Lucky Strike was his name. So not too lucky there, buddy. Are you? Lucky Strike.
Get him next time, or hopefully
name.
not. Yeah.
Have to work on that tagline.
I think we have David on the show. Is David on the show? We're just asking our
Just check
producer.
on the producer. We can hear you, David. We can see you, but we are working. We think. Are you able to rejoin? And what? There's a specific link.
Yeah. So if you
video, then
if you join both links, but join video first and then join the other one.
The Riverside one.
So there's two links to join in the description of the Gmeet. Yeah, join video because that gets
video
your
as
video.
well. And then so we can see you, but our lovely viewers can't.
We are live. There we go. David Phelps
live
on ETN.
David Phelps in the house.
Let's go. How's it going?
Boom.
How's it going, guys?
It's good, David.
Thanks for having me.
No, all good. Look, what's new? We want to kind of dive deep on Joke Race, but kind of what's going on in your world, obviously, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, crypto's having a fun time, I think, right now with the Monad and Mega ETH launches both coming up right now, and so it feels like that's what everyone is talking about. It's like our political, crypto Twitter is like an alternate country somewhere off in cyberspace, and it often feels like we have our own political candidates who are fighting it out, and a kind of parallel to the real world. It's like a fantasy. It's almost like a fantasy game that you play every day.
It does feel like I'm no longer like as involved as I used to be, but like I think I was in like my first cycle was like 2017 maybe, and then I was like heavily involved in NFTs for a bit, and then this is where I got into people like Kobe and the podcast he used to run. I saw the clip the other day of him, the guy from 3 Hours Capital who went on the run after that collapse. I forget his name. Sam Bankman-Fried, and who was the other bloke on there?
I think Do Kwon. Wasn't like Do Kwon there also?
Yeah, Do Kwon was on there. Yeah, from Terra, and also Gainsey as well. Like Gainsey face revealed on that as well. I think, which is a mad episode. But they were talking to Martin Shkreli was on it as well, and Martin Shkreli is basically like telling Sam Bankman-Fried, he's like, "Oh, don't worry, like jail's not that bad," and then like he just like freaks out a little and just like leaves the call. It's like a who's who of like crypto Twitter. Really sick.
That was the peak of crypto, was when everyone was a criminal. That's the best crypto ever did. Everyone deserved to go to jail.
Dude, that was a super entertaining time. Like I remember, that was around the time where I think SBF did that famous tweet that was like sell me all your Solana, I'll buy it at $3. I don't even care. And then
it was about a year after that, or a year and a half after that. Because that's what made his fortune. And then by the time he gets to the up only, it's where he loses. He's about to lose his whole fortune.
So nuts. Well, can you break down for the viewers crypto Twitter? You mentioned a few things at the moment. What is happening right now that everyone should be paying attention to?
Yeah, I think right now, there's two major chains that are launching very soon, and so they're about to release their tokens. One is Monad, which is an EVM L1 with basically parallelizable EVM, and it's done like a lot of database improvements so that you can actually have like a really scalable L1. And what I mean by an L1 is just like a base layer chain where anyone can settle transactions, execute transactions, etc. Right? And so this is like something that in Ethereum land, people have been angry about with Ethereum for many, many years, which is that Ethereum is slow and it doesn't necessarily, scale. And so they've really come up with this L1 that can really scale, right? And so that's I think kind of, one vision where it's like, the performance of Solana with the kind of, like execution environment and developer tools of Ethereum is kind of a short way to put like what Monad is. And so that's coming out. There's a lot of excitement for that. It raised at like a $3 billion valuation from Paradigm like years ago. It's been many, many years in the works. And so they're doing their airdrop. And of course, this has been a long time coming. It's also, I think, been a meme that Monad is just like, was never going to launch. So everyone's kind of shocked that it actually is going to launch. Mega ETH is an L2, meaning that it's built on top of Ethereum. And so what an L2 can do is it basically posts its transactions to Ethereum And that allows for the security, right? You're getting the security of the L1 of Ethereum that can back your transactions and say, hey, this is real. If you ever need to withdraw your funds, you can safely withdraw them here. But by building on top of it, it can basically, move way, way faster. And so it's able to get, I think, something like, I forget exactly what it is, but it's like 10 millisecond block times or something like that, which basically means like, if you've looked at the history of Wall Street or Flash Boys and like all these, like Wall Street hedge funds that would like literally lay cables, right, to and try to put like their own centers as close to the cables as possible, so that
like
they
as
could
straight
just
as possible, right?
1 millisecond faster, right,
yeah.
to be able to make the difference. It's like latency matters a lot, and so it also just makes for you're doing gaming and you want to like shoot at characters, and if every shot is a transaction that is earning you money, like you can't be waiting 100 milliseconds every time you shoot a character. You're going to get killed first, right? So there's like all these ways that latency is like really just important for building applications. And so Mega ETH has really built, I think, really one of the two L2s of like really low latency. The other thing that they've done that's kind of exciting is like they've really put a lot of work into creating like a team of app builders who are building these really novel apps. And so like, what you usually get with chains is like they all do the same things. They're all like, we need a hyperliquid perps exchange. We need like an NFT, launchpad. We need a meme coin launchpad. And we need a prediction market. And they all go after the same thing. And like what Mega ETH has done is it's like, no, we have this new thing, which is latency that's so fast. Like there's whole new applications of this stuff. So you have things where it's like you can bet on trends with a product called Noise, and it's almost it's technically a perps exchange, but it's almost like a prediction market where it's like you're betting on the mind share of things online, right? You like, I think this thing will like get a lot more mind share over the next few months. I can make money on that. That's Noise, right? You have like a delta neutral like leverage strategy where it's like you can leverage 9x, but because it's like delta neutral, you actually won't lose money. And so you can have these kind of like really exciting strategies. That's one called World Capital Markets, WCM, that's building there, et cetera, et cetera. Euphoria, tap trading. Like every minute you can like, bet on whether Ethereum is going to go up or down. There's actually an options platform like Disguise, that's like a consumer app. So like all these new things that have never, really been out there, like Legend doing PvP. It's like you can bet against each other on like what's going to happen in the market. Like all these things have like not existed and really, and they're going to happen on Mega ETH. And so there's a lot of excitement, I think, around that too. And the final thing that Mega ETH did that's kind of cool is like they're not really doing an airdrop. They're selling their tokens, and they're like, look, in the history of finance, like airdrops don't really make sense. It's not like a stock is going to IPO and then be like, hey, here's free stock to everyone who ever used us. Like you would never see that. It's like you have to buy the stock. And so what they're doing instead is they're like, look, if you've been loyal and you've supported us and you've been there for us, like we'll let you buy it at a lower valuation, but like you have to buy it. Like, like we're not just gonna give away free money. Like we have a great product, have to pay for it. And like we're not gonna give it away to farmers, we're just gonna dump it on day one and actually hurt our token price. So I think there's a lot of excitement around that too, that they might actually be building like a better token model with all of this as well. And so, yeah, I would say this is the very, very long explanation for why Monad and Mega ETH. I think
no, please.
Really, we need it. We need the
definitely
education. So we appreciate it. I just want to know how does Joke Race fit into all of this and kind of like what you're working on?
Great. Yeah. So Joke Race is like what I would describe it as right now is like a subjective prediction market. And what I mean by that is like Kalshi or Polymarket are like you're betting on objective outcomes. On Joke Race, you're taking a position on like subjective outcomes. So what you're actually doing is you're voting and you're earning. So like you can imagine anything you can vote on. What happens on Joke Race is like you buy up votes, your money goes into a rewards pool. If you vote on the winner, you earn the rewards. And this is done on a price curve so that we really incentivize people to come in early and vote early with conviction, rather than just waiting to see what everyone else voted on. And so you're actually incentivized to share your beliefs and tastes and preferences in a way that can earn you money, but also is really fun to play. And so like, the big example of this, we launched this a few months ago. And like the big example of this is like Avalanche ran this whole ecosystem bracket tournament on what their best app was. And like in the final contest, like it generated over $1 million in rewards for voters. There were people who made like $40,000 in 5 minutes, just by like saying, hey, I think that this app, is my favorite one. And so it almost creates this like sports game where it's like tribal. It's like, there's teams competing against each other. But like what's fun is in this case, like if you're the audience for the team, you're also the player on the team because you're coming in and you're actively like playing, taking, putting up money, trying to win, and trying to earn. And so it's really it's really kind of a game to almost like curate the internet, where you're getting people to actually like express what they want. And you can imagine you could build like a product hunt on top of this, that actually wouldn't be able to get botted. You could build like reality TV shows where everyone could come in and be voting, on who won. You could be having this on the stream. You could have a debate, right? Like, and you could have your audience voting on who won the debate, and they could be earning money from doing it. And so what's nice with us is like we're built for the EVM, which is like the Ethereum virtual machine, which is really just like the code base that is used by almost all chains now. So both Monad and Mega ETH are both EVM, which means we'll be live on both of them. So it's really exciting, like that we get to support all these kind of ecosystems.
Exciting times.
That's awesome. And how did you like what your background, right? What is it? Yeah. I don't even know what one's background has to be to build Joke Race. So like,
I don't know what one's background either. Robo's mine. Yeah, I don't know. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah. So what were you doing before all this then? How did you end up building Joke Race? Like, what's the background story?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different elements that kind of coalesce. So this is my third company. I built in fintech. I built in ed tech before this. I hadn't built in crypto. And so this is the first time I built in crypto. But I've been following crypto since 2017. And then I started getting really into it in 2021. And I was getting really into like DAO space and like worker collective space and like thinking about like, okay, how do we form communities? Like, how do we use financial incentives to form communities? And like the thing that you constantly find in crypto is like, you think you're forming a community with financial incentives, but you're actually not. Like you're actually just creating a bunch of farmers who are all going to rug you and leave, because they're just there for the money. Like they don't actually care. They're not there for the friendship, right? Yeah. And so like what seems like this really powerful tool for creating community, which is like that you can drive so many people in and acquire them really easily with money, actually turns out to be a really bad tool, right? Longer term. And so like, I think the kind of like quintessential example I think about is like, you would have these DAOs where there would be these big decisions that people had to make where they're like, come in and vote with your tokens on, how we should diversify our treasury. $1 billion is at stake. Like, please come in and tell us what we need to do. And like, no one would participate. Everyone would be like, I have to read like 40 pages of docs and I have to understand like all these fancy call options. And like, I don't want to participate in this. And so like, you'd have like $1 billion at stake and no one would want to have anything to do with it. And then, like something would come along like this thing called Crypto the Game, which Dylan, who's now at TBPN, started. And like Crypto the Game was like this game every night where people would play and they would like, it was basically built like Survivor, where they would vote each other off the island. And so like you'd be put on a team, you would have to try to pick who you wanted to vote off every night and work with other people. The interesting thing from like a game theory perspective is like on Crypto the Game, your incentive, the best thing to happen, the best thing your team can do is just not show up that night. Like, don't come out at 7 p.m. Don't vote at all. If none of you vote for each other, you all survive. Like, there's literally no incentive to come and vote. Yeah. You don't get anything for it. You're just killing off someone else and making and putting a target in your own head, right? And so it was like game theory wise, like here's something where you're not incentivized to vote, and yet everyone did, right? Like everyone came in and they all voted because it was fun, because it was like really enjoyable and because it was tribal, right? Yeah. And so I think like there's a really deep lesson there, right? Which is like stuff in crypto actually takes off when it's fun. And that's really, really hard for people in crypto to understand because we delude ourselves all the time with farmers and with bots and with like fake usage and like test nets, and these financial incentives that draw people in for 3 months before they leave. And so we lie to ourselves. Like crypto as an industry just lies to itself, I think, more than any other industry about its own traction, to be like, this is working. This is really successful. And so like what I'm really interested in is like, okay, how do we use this financial incentive to like draw people in, but actually have a social incentive there that is really fun, so that like if they do lose money, they still are enjoying this and want to come back, right? Like that is kind of the bottom line. And I think that's where we're kind of moving as an industry. And it's so obvious, like, everyone knows this. It's like, money works well when it's a magnifier. Like you think about horse betting, like it works because, you get an adrenaline rush from betting on a horse, right? And like the money is the magnifier for this emotion that's already there. But you don't go purely necessarily just for the financial experience of horse betting. Like it's something that you do there because it's a fun thing to do, right? And so I think like as an industry, this is kind of where we have to move. But it's still hard for a lot of people to understand.
Yeah, it's such an interesting like way of looking at like building communities and like a different, very different like subset or niche of building like a community. I want to ask, like, what are you guys like? How are you thinking about building this community? Like what's like 6 inches in front of your face, and what are you like tackling right now to kind of build that? Because it's such an abstract like thing to kind of build this community that's not just there to kind of farm you guys. It's genuinely enjoying what you're doing. So what is that like? What are those steps to get there?
Yeah. So the kind of analogy I use sometimes is like, I think about us as like a sports stadium. Like we're the stadium, right? Because like anyone can throw these contests, between teams, like in our stadium, right? And then I think like if you're creating a contest, like you're almost like a league. It's like you're putting together like different teams, but you are the league for that team, right? And then if you're actually like participating in the contest, like then you are on the team, right? And so like contests really work when there are actual active teams that show up, right? And this is obvious. It's like no one wants to go to a football game where the football team is not coming on the field. Like that's not fun, right? And so like what's interesting is like, for us to build our own native community really depends on having really successful like contests with teams that get really excited and they have a really good time and then they want to come back for more, right? They want to play in other games as well. And so it's like what's been really nice, I think, with our move towards like vote and earn is like we can just throw these contests ourselves and we can get people participating. And it is also an interesting thing in crypto right now where I would say that the stereotype is American retail and American consumers pretty checked out. Like they got really kind of burned on NFTs in 2021, kind of what you were talking about, Ronan, right? It's like, you were here, the NFTs, but then we all lost our money on that and it was shitty and the experience was terrible. And like, I think there's just like an optics issue with crypto in America where like a lot of people don't want to come back into it. Like they're only hearing about it through the Trump coin or something, right? But in like Asia, it's very, very different. Like Asia has this like really kind of thriving retail scene in like Korea, Japan, China. And so it's interesting because like I'm actually getting like DMs a lot from like players in like Japan who are really excited about playing this. And I'm like, isn't it like 3 a.m. for you? And they're like, yeah, but we stay up for that.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So that's
when you know you're creating a proper community, right? When they're staying up till 3 a.m. for the community you're building.
It's cool that. I think you're right with the stuff you mentioned earlier on, like the artificial nature of the communities, like especially you saw it in the NFT stuff where like you'd have to grind these discords, right? And like those based on, they implemented like an XP reward system for the amount of grinding, or they'd even have mods in there to vote on who they thought was providing the most quotation marks value to that community in Discord. But as soon, and like, you grind this thing for like 7 days. I used to pay people on Fiverr to grind them for me, and then have like
you were farming.
I was a farmer. Sorry, I was a farmer.
No, that is a badge of honor in crypto. You're good. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Cool. But like as soon as I get them, I dump them. I dump my bag straight away. As soon as like, and you usually double your money. You'd hold one like little moon bag there in case it went nuts.
Totally.
And but like it was artificial, right? It was financially driven. There was no incentive of like I was never looking forward to hang in the Discord with these random people.
No,
like
because the other people in the Discord were also farmers. So like, why would you want to? It's like you don't want
a bunch of farmers.
Yeah.
No, 100%. But I like Joke Race sounds like it's cool because like it's this. You're introducing like a layer of fun to it where it's not like a multiplayer PvP, but it kind of is in a way because like you're sat there with other people voting on something and you're playing in like the same area as them, and there's like a financial incentive on top of that, which is necessary, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more
like horse racing, right? You're not going for the financial incentive.
Or like
you're
playing poker with your boys. It's
just an upside of playing the game.
Like if my boys were like, "Oh, do you want to come play poker? We're betting nothing." I'd be like, probably miss me on that one. But like, even if it's just like £10, I'll go and play with.
Oh, dude, no. I play
£5.
Like, but like you play poker for the fun, not always just for the.
No, but even if it is like £5, like it doesn't have to be loads of money. It could be like.
Right?
Yeah. Like, there has to be something at stake.
Fine.
Yeah.
Right. The money is what makes it. right? And I think that's where crypto kind of has to go as an industry. Is like when you think about experiences, like the money is the fun, right?
Yeah,
and that's really hard.
100%.
That is hard.
Which is, I think it's cool though, right? Like I think there's so much fun you can have with it. I'm realizing that we're so far over. How far? No, that's it's my fault as well. This is fascinating. It's it's cool to get like we've not had like a proper hardcore like crypto take yet. I don't think like in terms of guests.
Yeah, I think
we had Ledger CTO on earlier, which is obviously great.
Oh,
Charles. Like amazing side, but more from like the enterprise world, looking towards consumer.
Yeah, I think if we did we should do a crypto day.
Yeah, we definitely
should do that. That would be cool, and it'd be great to have you back on to kind of go more general about the crypto market, and we can kind of get allow us to learn, but then also allow our audience to learn as well.
Yeah, we should run a contest with it so people can vote on their favorite speaker or who they want on the show.
Dude, that's sick. We should definitely do that.
We'll be in the DMs.
Yeah, we'll hit you up.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
Look,
Okay,
David,
sick.
so good to chat. Thank you very much for coming on. And
I appreciate it.
You'll be back on, I'm sure.
Thanks.
Ciao.
You bet.
Bye.
Ciao.
Amazing stuff. Just a quick word from our sponsors, Jack and Jill. Don't miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want and search thousands of new jobs every hour to find job opportunities worth seeing. Is that it?
That's the day.
We
That's
are
the day
done
done.
with Tuesday the 28th. Thank you very much for tuning in.
That's the stream.
That is the stream.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll see you on Thursday.